What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Welcome, everybody. Good evening. I'm Love Coach Scott Katamas, and I am so grateful that all of you are with us tonight. Get ready. It's going to be a powerful, powerful show. We have some wonderful presenters, wonderful music, and such an important topic about making contact. And we're going to hear some really important things. So welcome. I especially want to welcome people that are watching on Facebook right now, and I want to invite you to come on into our Zoom room. It's really easy to do that. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, and register. Now, once you register, you're going to get links to all 3 of our shows that we do every weekend. We do a show every Friday night, every Saturday night, and every Sunday morning. Always taking a theme of the weekend. This weekend's theme is the Making Contact Update. Once you register, you're going to get the links for all 3 shows, and those will be good through April 1st. So please join us, because once you're in the Zoom room, it's much easier for you to chat with us, to connect with us, and we're going to have a very special after show that's going to include interacting with some of our Zoom room audience. And I know that a lot of people who watch, especially when we're doing shows about galactic family and ET and making contact and government disclosure, many of you have had experiences that you want to share. We want to hear your experiences. And it's easiest if you come on into our Zoom room. So welcome. It's going to be a great show and something kind of special. Deborah Giusti, who of course has been on kind of a hiatus, is back with us for one evening. And so it's my pleasure to turn it over to the woman that I first co-created Saturday Night Live. We did 90 shows together. Here is Deborah Giusti.
Thank you, Scott. And hello, everyone, my Global Peace Tribe family. And yes, I took a little break and I'm back tonight to support Scott and the Awakening World. And I'm also creating other online programs for you where you can continue to drop in deep and intimately with the incredible luminaries that we've featured on Saturday Night Alive and the Awakening World. And like always, I want to thank you so much for your support previously of Saturday Night Alive and now the Awakening World. Your donations, your green love is what keeps it going into the future, bringing you the cutting edge information of our times. And it's so good to be back on this show featuring one of my favorite topics, which is all about connecting with our galactic family. The theme for the whole weekend is Making Contact Update, Disclosure, Integration, and Transmutation. The documentation and existence of UFOs has been around forever. I went to Egypt and I saw UFOs on the temples there. And you will hear about UFOs in ancient Native American indigenous teachings, and they're definitely in our skies today. But as you know, there's been a lot of censorship in our current society, but all that's shifting now with so many other things that are shifting as disclosure of things that are very important for us to know about is being revealed in these unprecedented times and highly evolutionary times. And many of us do have an inner knowing of the galactics, or we've actually had contact, whether it's seeing ships in the sky, being visited in dreams, having psychic messages, or actually having physical experiences. We know that there's life in the universe beyond humanity, and we know the time is now for the knowledge and the information from our galactic families to come to us, to be shared, understood, and embraced as our Earth and humanity is now going through this current evolutionary shift. And we are actually being invited to up-level our consciousness and being invited to consciously participate and connect with our galactic families. So it's really important for the incredible presenters like you'll see tonight who have been on the front lines researching and experiencing this forever of UFO documentation to share with us what's possible. What is the potential of connecting and interacting with our galactic races? I see them as our older cousins who are a few thousand years or many thousand years beyond us in evolutionary evolution. Do they have some of the answers of technology that can help solve our planet's greatest challenges? Do they have the keys to the next level of human evolution? And as above, so below, we need to practice discernment to protect ourselves from certain galactic beings that may not have our best interests. So this is a huge reality with lots of potential for the human race and for our personal evolution. And so I'm so happy tonight to bring to you these amazing presenters and our wonderful collaborative partner for tonight, Alan Steinfeld, who will help inform, inspire, and guide us towards that potential. So I'm happy to present tonight Dr. J.J. Hurtak and Dr. Desiree Hurtak. They are social scientists, futurists, authors. They're founders of the Academy for Future Science. And their research, wisdom, and teachings go back many, many years, back to the 60s and 70s. They've been on this forever. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we also have Elizabeth Sartoris. She's an evolutionary biologist, futurist, speaker, author, sustainability consultant to businesses, governments, agencies, and other organizations. She's internationally known as a dynamic speaker and media personality. Welcome, Elizabeth. And we're so happy to have on again Cornflower. He is a live looper beatboxer. His music is a fusion of organic a cappella. He sings from the heart and the soul. He's one of our favorites of Saturday Night Alive and now The Awakening World. Welcome, Cornflower. We also are going to be featuring Jody Serrata. She's one of New York's leading life-changing metaphysical educators, working as a channel, vibrational healer, and professional artist with in-depth intuitive abilities and remarkable sound healing powers. Welcome, Jody. And another musician we're going to have is Omar Shar. He's an accomplished singer-songwriter, transformational workshop facilitator. His music, which he terms metaphysical pop, celebrates the connection of all life and the journey we all take home to our true self. Welcome. And we're so happy to have again Neil Gar. He's a philosopher, historian, researcher, and spoken word artist. He presents research on ancient wisdom and future science, and he's the founder of Portal to Ascension. Welcome again, Neil. And we're also really happy to have as a pre-record Elizabeth April, an amazing woman, cosmic intuitive channeler who has the ability to go into the other realms and dimensions in order to gain access through vibrations and visuals. And she has a strong connection with the Galactic Federation. We are also going to have another recording from Marina Seren. She's a psychic medium, extrasensory seer, a conscious challenger of higher mind, intuitive artist. She is a hybrid alien mother. She is an MKL Ultra survivor. She's super amazing. And in our after show, we are going to have John Martin, who's a classically trained guitarist who's performed for thousands around the world. And for the last decade, he used his skill to bridge and deepen connection with our star family through his music, through positive thought and love projection. Welcome, John. And now we are going to introduce our collaborative partner, Alan Steinfeld. Scott, would you like to share about Alan?
Yeah. So one of the wonderful things that's been happening, especially over the last 2 years, once the pandemic really hit, so much of our tribe is coming back together, and we're meeting a lot of wonderful new people. But I've been around this business for a long time. Deborah, of course, produced the Harmony Festival for 30 plus years. So many of us are reconnecting with old friends. And of course, we're also meeting many new friends. Well, one of my oldest friends is Alan Steinfeld. And the way I met Alan is pretty cool. I wrote and directed and produced a movie, and we were shooting it in Maui. And we were shooting at a place where Alan he thought was on vacation. But we needed an assistant director. I met Alan. He was living on the property, hanging out, and a beautiful friendship was born. And that was in 1988. 1988. So, of course, Alan has done an amazing job with creating new realities. And I love, if you take a look at Alan's title, New Realities, my title, The Awakening World, they really, really fit together like a glove. Because this is this incredible time of transformation. We are waking up. We are creating a new reality. And I'm so grateful to be collaborating with you. And we're having a great time this weekend. So turning over to Alan.
Well, thank you, Scott. Yes, it was like 30 something years ago, whatever that. And, our paths have crossed. They crossed in Australia, I think. A few places. And the other side, my side of that story was I was living in this tent on this beautiful property because I wanted to get away from film production, which I was doing in New York City. So I was kind of over it. And you show up with a film crew and say, we have a job. I said, well, I'm here to not have a job. So I took it. I mean, I'm living in paradise and you want to pay me. So it was great. And it was a great production. And it's led to this kind of evolution for both of us. So I'm really happy you agreed to do this program on making contact. Like you said, I wrote the book on it, which is very nice of you to say that. I didn't say that. You said that. But this is a subject that's very close to me for a reason I don't quite understand. I think I've had contact experiences. I've always dreamt of the stars, and I've had to go to every single UFO conference that I could. I started hosting, emceeing them, Contact in the Desert, lots of different UFO regional shows, and interviewing people. John Mack, I interviewed, Bud Hopkins, Whitley Strieber, Linda Moulton Howe, the Hertogs, of course, Elizabeth Sattouris. I've wanted to know what they know about this subject. So I put all this together in this book because there's a mystery going on here, and we're part of it. I think the Hertogs get very close to understanding this, and they have lots of answers. So does Elizabeth. But what I put together about this, it's a 3-day program we're doing. The first day was disclosure. So that's the exterior. That's like what the government knows. That's hardware. Today is this experiential. This is about this in between. And tomorrow it's about transmutation. So we go from the outside to the middle to the inside to consciousness. That's also how I set up my book, the layers and chapters in my book. But just understand tonight, this integration of the higher mind and the human mind is really partly what we're focusing on here. And some of the elements of that is that I wrote this quote, these quotes down from another panel we did the other day, is that it takes a vibrational shift. We are leaving the past and entering a new future, and we need to do it on a different level of consciousness. So we need to expand. We need new cognitions. We're not going to find out about the future by going to the past. There's a whole new platform that is ready and waiting for us if we can just shift out of our animal nature. Humans are half divine and half animal. We're in these animal bodies. It's time for us to wake up to this higher nature. We've done the animal thing for thousands of years, and now maybe we can do the higher consciousness thing. That's one of the reasons I love to gather people like this in these groups. Another concept that I want to put out there: these beings function on a different level of consciousness. It's not just a vibration. They actually think differently. We need to expand, as Elizabeth says, and I'll go into the keyboard of our knowledge, the frequencies, the ways we understand reality. And I think quantum physics gets close to that. We have to go out of the logical, linear understanding of either or and start to realize that reality is both and. There are contradictions in the old ways of thinking, and we need to evolve awareness so it's not just black and white, up or down, night or day. There's a range of experiences that is not dualistic. And as we start to change that level of thinking, we start to make contact with these beings that are really outside the box. So we have to go beyond the logical mind, realize that we're energy, not just matter. We have to understand quantum physics, the coherency of the heart, time, space is linked, and that we are non-local. That's the final point I'll make here right now, is that who we are is non-local consciousness. We may think we're confined to this time and space, but when I teach remote viewing, everyone can see beyond the limited time space. It always amazes me, just like it amazed the people at the Stanford Research Institute, that this was possible for every human being. Our mind, our consciousness is non-local, and that's part of making contact. So that's a little introduction here. If that, I could go on and on, as you know, but
I think it's time to introduce Jody.
Yes. Jody Sirota is I knew her before I knew you, Scott. I know Jody and I go back to 1980s, early 80s. We're taking like spirituality 101, I call it. We both met in New York after college, and we just had a connection, and I've seen her evolution to be a world-class teacher. She had a beautiful place called the Meta Center in New York, where the tribe would gather. Our tribe here would gather there in person. You remember when we used to have in-person meetings? Well, in person at the Meta Center, and it was a real doorway to higher knowledge. We had people from all levels of conscious evolution meeting at the Meta Center. And the one thing I just want to say about Jody, she also does light language and conscious channeling. She's an artist and a great human being. But I was going to introduce, I don't think I ever told you, Jody, I was going to introduce you to this big congregation, this big assembly we had, the Passion to Connect. There were 1,000 people there. Deepak Chopra was there, was going to speak, and I was going to introduce Jody. And it was new to light language. And I was saying, what is these sounds and words? And then I got on stage and it hit me. I said, what Jody Sirota does is go beyond the limited mind of language and communicates in pure frequency. And I said something like that because in that moment, I realized what you were doing, Jody. You're a holder and transmitter of higher frequencies of knowledge. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy we're still sharing the same stage. So thank you.
Thank you, Alan, and thank you, Scott and Deborah, for having me on here. I'm really excited to be part of this. And what I'm going to do is sort of invoke sacredness for the whole day and to help everyone to, through these light languages and sounds and information that comes through, to help us to really allow ourselves to receive the information that everyone's bringing for this day, so that it can awaken more within ourselves in the way that everyone else brings this information through. We all have our own particular ways of bringing information through, but we also have to be open to receiving and seeing what makes sense for us. So I just wanted to say also, with disclosure, I actually looked it up to have a specific definition, and it said the action of making new or secret information known. And we're all trying to connect to these other beings, these galactic beings, and to know that this is really about us finding that place within ourselves, the parts that we've kept in the dark to ourselves, that we are part of everything. The source of everything is love. It's an all-inclusive frequency, and we're all part of the same source. So in the sense of awakening to be able to connect to all these other beings in other dimensions, we first have to allow ourselves to awaken the secrets within ourselves of the truth of who we already are. So I'm going to work with that energy now, the energies now to come through with these languages. And these languages through me are a combination of energies, my guides say, through the combination of energies connecting us to the earth plane before karmic patterning began, before humans even inhabited the earth. So we're starting from a clean slate and of karma. And it connects us to the earth, the star systems, the planets, and beyond the beyond. And in that we can experience ourselves as multidimensional beings. But also these languages are like awakening the grids of our consciousness, the codes of our consciousness, to help us to remember our gifts, but also to remember the clarification and the integration that we are part of everything. We're not separate. So in that, we should be able to connect to all of these beings when it's appropriate. We're also time capsules of consciousness in a way. And we're time released, and the time is now. So we're here today and during this whole weekend to really allow for that to happen within us, and also to integrate and interconnect with everyone else that's here and beyond the beyond the beyond. So close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. I'm going to just say a prayer that I use to bring in the angels and the archangels and the legions of them, and to clear the space. Ate malkuth vegevora vegedula le'olam amen. I hereby banish from my space and all of your spaces all energies which are not appropriate, all psychic jamming, all negative emotional energies and memories which are not appropriate. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Ate malkuth vegevora vegedula le'olam amen. The atmosphere around us and through us is cleansed and purified and infused with love. The atmosphere around us and through us is cleansed, purified, and infused with love. The atmosphere around us and through us is cleansed and purified and infused with love. And I choose to be a clear, open channel of God's wisdom, love, healing, and light, bringing through the highest vibration of consciousness, of pure love that would ignite all of us within our hearts, within our souls, within our spirits, everything that we are, to remember that we are these galactic, intergalactic beings, all connected to the same source, to remember ourselves as love. Again, it's an all-inclusive frequency, no conditions, so that we can live in peace and harmony and come into this unified consciousness for everyone. Breathe and open your hearts. We speak to your hearts. We speak to the part of yourselves that allow for your hearts to finally open, even with all the pain and the sadness and all the things from all this karmic patterning from all time, space, and dimensions, going back to the truth from before all of that came upon you in any lifetime, any dimension. Dasakani malakia lakade isukuon aniniki shiata. And as you breathe and open your hearts, breathe and close your eyes, go into a deeper place into your hearts, and imagine that the heart energy of love is in every cell of your being, every atom, every molecule, and awakening the energy in your DNA strands of the truth of ourselves as love, connected to everything that there is. Even the word connection makes it sound like we have to become something separate to connect. This is to recognize and allow for ourselves to feel interconnected, intertwined, merging back to the truth of who we already are. Bashani Masani Malakiana Romar. To remember that sacredness. Ashanakiana no Badaru. Amma no Guri Shataru Kurianade. And be able to regenerate and rejuvenate our systems, because our bodies in this human form need to be healthy and able to withstand the difference of the shifts in the changes and the shifts that are taking place, coming into a higher frequency. So as we become more aware of our frequency in the truer sense, but in human form, our physical bodies have to, in a sense, lift up the vibration to meet the higher vibration of our souls, so that we can have our souls live in our bodies on this plane as if it's your home for your soul to live in and express through. We need to be aware of being here in our physicality in order to be able to be on the planet with our souls, the original higher conscious choice we've made, to accept that choice as a good, right, and safe choice, so that we can accept the choices we make now while we're in physical form, but to remembering ourselves as multidimensional beings. Asani manani manani matati nakulani maridi roshanare Amara doro kurina shalamari godorum Barishala baligira badigira badigira baded marigira mananate to kura malinina barikiti namatanate Umbarati takalikin nakulukarim batakitam batakin batakin date takatum bate takatang date takatang date batakita batakita batakot batakita katakot namatikete Koanaru Koana Bekishana Dade Umahana Ikina Rukurusha Doru Asanena Dokurana Roa. And as you breathe, give yourselves permission to actually disclose the sense of who you really are in truth. So as we come into recognizing the truth of who we already are and embodying that, integrating that, merging that into ourselves, to become these beings that are just here in one incarnation, but we're connected to everything that exists. And the more we resonate with that awareness, the more those things that people are seeing, when you're worried that you can't see something or feel something or know something or tap into these higher dimensions and beings, the more you start to resonate with the truth of who you are as these beings, as we're all part of the same source, the more you'll start to have experiences that feed your soul and help you to remember yourself. So take a few deep breaths. Allow your hearts to open even more, your heart centers to open even more so now, as if we're getting ready now for this wonderful day or evening, wherever you're located, to allow to yourselves to really be present, to allow your presence to really be acknowledged from yourself and be part of this group that we've formed here today. Because we're all here for a reason, to remember the truth of who we are in relation to everything else. Everything is in relation to something else. But we're here to merge everything that we are with all that exists in all these different dimensions and galaxies and beyond the beyond. So allow for that, acknowledge it, celebrate it, and feel the sacredness of knowing that you are truly the experience and the truth and the resonance of pure love, an all-inclusive frequency. Lots of love to everyone.
Thank you so much, Jody. And it's beautiful, such a unique invocation. And what I love is, of course, the depth of your passion and your awareness. But just as you're bringing through a language that's different than we're used to hearing, it really helps us to open, and that's what it's all about, opening our minds, opening our hearts to new experiences, to new possibilities, to new dimensions. And I really want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. But
Yeah.
also, it's about bypassing the logical mind. But at the
Yes.
same time, the energies are awakening the masculine and feminine, which you do a lot of that work as well. I do that too. That where it's bringing that masculine and feminine energy together as one. So it's the merging of all these parts of ourselves in oneness. Again, it's unity consciousness within ourselves and unified consciousness for all that exists through all time, space, and dimensions. Thank you.
Oh, hey, I just want to let people know how they can get more Jody. She does amazing readings. You can actually schedule a time to go in and get an Akashic record reading with her. So go to her name, Jody, spelt Jodi, Sirota, Serota, jodisirota.com. And then once you go there, you can sign up for one of her channeled readings. She also does amazing channeled art. She works with crystal skulls. There's a lot that she's doing. So definitely check out her website at jodisirota.com. And thanks again, Jody. It's great to see you again and have you back on our show.
You know, I want to say, Scott, when you're in the room with Jody, if we ever get to share a room again, there's a vibration that you can feel. It's palpable in the air when those sounds come through, and you maybe here too, but in person, it just goes right through you and you feel this shift. So that's why I've known her for so long, because of those shifts. And you can see why I wanted her to do the invocation, because it just sets the platform for the show.
Beautiful. And just before, we're going to go to the Her Talks in a moment, but just before that, we have started on the Awakening World having a group prayer time. And so now that Jody's kind of done this beautiful invocation, kind of opened us up a little bit, I want us just to take a moment as we all are connecting. All the people in our Zoom room, all of our wonderful panelists, everybody watching on Facebook. And also I want to acknowledge anybody watching the recording, because we now know that about 30 to 40% of the people who watch this are going to watch the recording. So wherever you are, we've got Jody and Alan in New York. Many of us are in California. We've got John in Georgia, the Hertox all over the world. Let's just tune in and imagine our collective hearts coming together and creating this incredible circle of love and prayer. And anyone that you want to put into our prayer circle, please do so now. For those of you that are in our Zoom room, feel free to put names of who you want us to hold space for into the chat box. Those of you watching on Facebook, you can also put in names. We have a lot of people watching on Unify right now, so you can certainly put in names there. Or just holding in your heart, knowing that we all are creating this new world together. We're all the imaginal cells of the new butterfly forming out of the dying caterpillar. We are all part of the Global Peace Tribe. And maximum grace for whomever you're praying for in this moment. Maximum grace for us all. Maximum grace for our planet. Maximum grace for all beings everywhere. And maximum grace and appreciation for those beings, human, animal, that are leaving our planet. Thich Nhat Hanh, Clifford Mahooty, and so many of us know people now that are either dying or have recently passed. There's a lot of transition taking place. Maximum grace and appreciation for those beings, those souls that have touched our lives. Thank you, everybody. Now I get to turn it back over to my partner in tonight's show, Alan.
Thank you, Scott, for that. And I do want to acknowledge, Scott, you and your hard work and what's been like 2 going on 3 years every single week, 90 of them with Deborah, working really hard to build a community. And it's selfless. I know there's not a lot of money in this. It is a service that you and Deborah and my friends, the Hertogs, are doing to you, and Jody, the people I know really well, are doing, because it's here to be done. And you have the grace, you have that to be willing to put something else over your personal needs. It's the next level of evolution. This is what I see.
Thank you, Alan. And I added Deborah to the for that little acknowledgement. I wasn't expecting that, but thank you. Very, very beautiful, and thank you.
No, I know Deborah is working all the time, whether she's on this show or not. She is on. I know, because she texts me. It must be like 5 a.m. there, because I get these texts at 8, and it's like she is on it. So this is hard work, and it's fun, and there's probably nothing else we would want to be doing except being in the awakened world of new realities. And
This is what we came for.
that's it. This is what we came for.
We are the ones we were waiting for. This is the time we've been preparing for. Definitely.
Right. So it is my honor, with that sort of introduction, to be introducing people. This is not new to them, to work 24 hours a day. When they're awake, they are always at it, because I know I've traveled with them, I've lived with them, and Desiree's up till the middle of the night on her computer, editing and streaming and downloading. And JJ is a real master sage. He is getting downloads and putting it into new keys. The Keys of Enoch was a book he did in 1973, but recently he's releasing 10 more keys. That first book, which is a really thick book, Keys of Enoch, Book of Knowledge, was 54 keys. He waited 40 years to release this next level of knowledge, because we weren't ready for it then. And now we are, and we need it. And thank you both for the hard work and the love and that we share. And we also travel the world, me, JJ, and Desiree, talking about UFOs and cosmic contact. And there couldn't be better people I could be with in this field, because they have a big scope of knowledge. So I'm really happy they're joining us tonight with this field of knowledge about the cosmic family that we are a part of. So JJ, Desiree, please.
And thank you for having us in your book, Making Contact. We wrote chapter 3. And so that's one of the reasons we're traveling together, to get the message out.
Yes, we live at a very exciting time. The James Webb Telescope is being prepared for launching to look at the beginning of the physical universe. The government is releasing a disclosure project of information going back 75 years, but there are other platforms, and we as social scientists, futurists, are using these other platforms, such as remote viewing. And of course, as you know, we were the first to bring out the actual pictures of the pyramidal formations and the grid systems on Mars, and also to actually do the work with geologists and remote sensing specialists in Egypt. In our book, Egypt's industrial complex goes beneath the Sphinx of Egypt, to take a look at these amazing hydraulic systems, which were a source of power and energy for all of Egypt, as well as to look at the portals between Egypt and the Belt of Orion. We were the first to write about this and discuss this 20 years before Robert Bevell, looking at the mathematics of how Egypt is really the archive of Mother Earth, giving us information that brings together the historic culture history, the planetary history, as well as the cosmic future for all of us. And so we have the opportunity now, all of us, if we are positive in our way we think and look at new knowledge, to see and to share this wonderful treasury of knowledge that will allow us to make the right choices with the cosmic others.
But this really is the time we've been waiting for. And this is why we are all here. I say we're almost to 8 billion people on the planet. It's because we all want to be here, actually. Of course, sad that many people have departed, like Clifford Mahudi we were talking about. But I want to introduce the fact that there really are seeming to be, in addition to the normal everyday people, star seeds, as Alan calls them. I call them indigo children or star children, that seem to be coming to the planet and having a higher knowledge. I know when I grew up, and I grew up in Florida, really connected with the Bermuda Triangle, someone across the street from me who I knew when she was, 3, 4, and 5, she was about a year or two older, she had contact with Orion, and she did not tell me about this at all when she was young, until she saw the book that Dr. Jack wrote, The Keys of Enoch, and realized I married him. And then she came back, but she had been already doing radio shows up in Boston on Starseed. And I want to bring out also, there's a young man who was born in 1996. So it's pretty close to Marina, who's going to be on the show, I think, later today. Borishka Kripriyanovich. Some people maybe had heard of him. He started really being unique when he was a very young baby. And then by the time he was 4, he was already kind of reading. And by the time he was 7, the neighbors were saying, wow, this guy's like really strange. And then by the time he was 11, they did a film on him. And he said he came from Mars. And he said that Mars unfortunately had a nuclear war. And that's why they're here, as well as other star seeds coming to this planet. I imagine Marina's probably a couple years younger than him, but he said there's going to be many people coming to this planet to help this planet at this time. And he had a vast memory. And, he said some things, and of course, here he is 11 years old. He said there's going to be major floodings. Well, he thought it was going to kind of wipe out the planet. Well, there was major floodings exactly when he said 2011, 2012, and I would say adding on to 2013, we had a major Colorado flood. Argentina had floods. It didn't wipe the planet, but he wasn't really saying it was going to be the end of the world. It was just going to be the start of environmental problems. And I have to say that when you look at people like Carlos Diaz, who was really a very simple man living in a town south of Mexico City with a pyramid there, he said in his contact, and he went into vehicles and really chit-chatted with the extraterrestrial friend of his, he said they're really concerned about the environment, and that's why they're coming here now. This ties in also to the Keys of Enoch, as the Keys of Enoch talk about the different changes taking place. I just want to add a few other things that Borishka said, and one of the things was Egypt, the Sphinx, was going to be key to understanding our past, present, and future. Of course, this is something that the Keys of Enoch talk about, the Sphinx. We feel the Sphinx is like the vehicle. You take the lion's solar power and you put on the face of, we would say, higher intelligence, and you are able to literally lift back off the planet.
I'm holding a picture of the Keys of Enoch with the picture of the Sphinx showing the hollow interior and also the vortex beneath the Sphinx itself. This is very important because we were able to find the engineering of passageways beneath the Sphinx to the pyramids, and also the interior of the Sphinx itself was hollow, being used for initiation, as you can see by humans walking to the breadth and length of the Sphinx itself. This is the type of model for space-time evaluation. The face of the lion represents the solar system, the solar logos. You take that off and you put the human face on, which means we're ready to excel beyond our solar spectrum.
Right. I want to go back a little bit to Borishka. He said he was from Mars originally. I think I might have mentioned that. But one of the things he did mention as well was the fact that he was concerned about the shifting of the magnetic fields on the planet. And I have to say that's also mentioned in the Keys of Enoch about the shift of the magnetic fields. And, it's happened the last time, supposedly 42,000 years ago. And it's okay. It's not going to kill anybody unless there's at a time of solar maximum or solar storms. That's where it gets more tricky. But what's happening now, and we have to look at this, is the fact that the fields are getting weaker around the planet. In fact, there's something called the South Atlantic anomaly going on from South Africa, spreading all the way to South America, causing very weak magnetic fields over especially Brazil, but even extending all the way to Chile. What's interesting, NASA recently came out with the reason why maybe that particular part is so weak. They think that some major meteorite or something hit into the planet at that point, and now it's starting to weaken the field. That was a long time ago that it hit, but it's like a rupture in the field. It's like a problem on the planet. But the fields probably won't go to zero, but they'll start shifting at a certain point. It'll be very low and start shifting into the northern pole will be at the south point and the south will be at the north. So these are all things that we have to be prepared for. I think, Alan, you just sent me a message today about Uri Geller, that he's starting to say that, be prepared. Aliens are going to be here. And I believe that's extremely true. And we all need to grow into that knowledge and realize there's not one type of intelligence, but many types of intelligence here to help the planet.
We must be positive, futurist, and carefully weigh this information so we're not stampeded into what I would call emotional imbalance. And this is why our work as scientists and educators has put us in touch with the leading thinkers at Stanford Research Institute. We actually authored the whole textbook on remote viewing, which I'm holding here, Mind Dynamics, the Real X-Files.
With Elizabeth Rauscher.
So putting this all in cosmic perspective, you need to have consciousness, or at least the human heart, work on multiple levels to see the big picture. Otherwise, you're going to get lost in the plethora of all of the findings and discoveries. Clearly, the keys of Enoch pointed out these changes at the North and South Pole, the rapid melting of ice, the polar shift that will ultimately happen. But at the same time, the keys speak of the coming of the cosmic others, the cosmic hierarchy that will help us with this great change. And so please, whatever you do, understand the knowledge base that we and others like Ellen and the other speakers represent. We are laying a foundation for this quantum change that is coming, but it's going to come through those who take the upper path. This is the compassion, the love, the musical vibration, and ultimately the consciousness mind that we put on. In the ancient texts, we would call it the mind of the cosmic Christ, or the inner dynamic of realizing that we're all in this together. We are all, shall we say, being prepared for cosmic citizenship.
Right, and it's so important to realize that really these star children, indigo children, are here also to help. So there's so many levels of help. That's why 2012, Alan was with us down in Mexico. We did the day after 2012, because there's so much intelligences from other levels, not only extraterrestrial, but what we also call in Alan Steinfeld's book, extracelestials, and what we consider ultra terrestrials, which are the angelic forces. All those are watching, seeking to help us individually, seeking to help us collectively, and we can link to them. We are not underlings. With our ability to remote view, our higher soul capacity, we can be peers with many of these intelligences.
So like musical notes, we have the human race, we have the extraterrestrials, next level, the extra celestials, those that are beyond the physical form and more of an energized body, the ultra-terrestrials that deal with the pure energy form, we would call the superluminal light, and finally the divine source. And so we are part of, we would call a musical transcription, a symphonic synergy of love and joy, purpose, discovery. And this is the excitement of what is coming. It is not to be, shall we say, prophets of doom, prophets of disaster, but really positive of positive futures, because this is why ultimately we're all together as the tribe of peace.
And we think this is going to be the day of graduation into our collective understanding of who we are in the universe. We're going to be understanding that we are one of many, and we are multidimensional beings.
The tribes are being gathered. So let us understand the symbolism of the tribe of Judah, or the tribe of the Sphinx, to shine the light, to be the light, to be the understanding of the building blocks that connect us with the rainbow bridge of the cosmic design. Within our hearts, within our souls, within our higher selves, let us always be joyous as futurists. And we thank you.
Something kind of amazing. We were going to show a clip. I did a long interview with Elizabeth April earlier this week for this weekend. And the clip that we were going to show later today. But because of what you just said, Alan texted me and said, hey, let's show the Elizabeth April clip now. I'd like for you two to see it and then comment on it, because it's fascinating what she has to say, given what you just shared. So, Alan, I'm going to bring you on, and you'll share
But
the clip.
I think you had that clip. You remember, Scott? Didn't you have that today?
Oh, yes, I did. That's right. I do.
Yes.
Okay.
And I hope maybe Elizabeth Satoris can also comment, because she's been in this field a long time too.
Yeah, so Elizabeth Satoris is going to be on next. She's going to be our next guest after this.
Okay.
And
you just tell people who Elizabeth April is if they don't know.
Alan, can you do that for a moment? Because I'm having just a little bit of a technical
Okay.
with my computer.
Elizabeth April, I've never met her personally, but she is like Marina Sarin. If you've seen her, she's a star seed. She's come in with an awareness of her soul's energy, and she brings in her connections to these other realms, to these other star systems, to these other dimensions. So people like her, and we'll be seeing Marina, are fully aware of their incarnational expression, and they are connected to the many levels of reality, which is what the Keys of Enoch, if you ever pick up that book, you are immediately transported into a multidimensional world. So yes, Scott?
Thank you. Thanks for covering. So yeah, Elizabeth April, I met her through Deborah Giusti. I want to thank Deborah for initially bringing her on to Saturday Night Live. And then she since has done multiple shows with me on Straight Talk and Sacred Sunday. And she's really, as you're about to see, a very dynamic, amazing being. But wait till you hear what she has to say in the video clip after what we just heard. So what has the Galactic Federation had to say about climate change? Where are we going? How bad is it going to get? Can they come help us? What do you have to say?
For sure, yeah. So I did a 2022 prediction video, which is actually on my YouTube, and it was all just messages about climate change. 2022 is, yeah, we're going to see the collapse of the old systems at those systemic levels, but we're really going to see a lot of climate issues. They talked about volcanoes erupting. Of course, we've already seen a massive one hit. They talked about tsunamis and waves. They talked about fire. They talked about flooding. There's going to be a lot of climate change taking place. Now, I'm not going to say that I am a what is it called? Global warming denier. I'm not at all. Like, I don't really put myself into any bucket, but I do want to say that in the first meeting that I ever got introduced to the Galactic Federation, one of the things that they mentioned back in 2011 was that there is something taking place on planet Earth called a pole shift. This is what they explained. I had no idea what this was, had no idea, just no idea. So they said that basically the magnetic poles, not the physical, but the magnetic poles on planet Earth are shifting. And they said that in our lifetime, they're going to shift about 13 degrees. Now, in the past, planet Earth, from what I've learned from them, has gone through many different pole shifts. This is not an unusual thing. This is actually just a cycle that planet Earth tends to go through, and we're right here during this cycle. Now, in the past, the magnetic poles have shifted 90 degrees. They've shifted 180 degrees. They've shifted completely. This was basically the time when humanity was wiped out, technology was wiped out, the Ice Age, the Great Floods, all of that basically took place time and time again. According to, I believe, different tribes and the indigenous community, we are currently on the 7th Earth, which I do believe that this is kind of our 7th cycle in a sense. I'm not really sure what that means, but it does resonate. Mm-hmm. And so the poles are shifting once again. This is where a lot of the climate change is taking place, is with the magnetic pole shift. Luckily, it's not going to wipe us out completely. It's only 13 degrees. This is a very small pole shift, but it is taking place. I definitely believe that planet Earth is being destroyed by humans. Like, that is, not even a question in my mind. And that's definitely adding to the destruction of, the ecosystem and the environment. We also have to realize that a lot of the flooding, a lot of even the animals, this is what I've channeled from the GFL, a lot of animals will die because the migration patterns are changing, because the magnetic systems are changing. And then also they've told me many years ago that a lot of new species, a lot of new animals are actually going to start to be discovered. I don't know if that's maybe some sort of timeline hop, or if that actually is a migration shift. So So creatures from the deep, in the ocean are now coming to the surface. I'm not really sure why, new creatures would be discovered or species would be discovered. But that's kind of what I've channeled. So 2022 is going to be a year of a lot of that shifting and changing. I'm a prepper myself. I really recommend that, not to be in fear, but plan for the worst, hope for the best when it comes to being in a big city, when it comes to being in a place that maybe you're at a coastline or what have you. I just recommend food and water for your family for up to 3 months. Once again, it's not a fear-based thing. As a matter of fact, when stuff does happen, you're not in fear because you're good to go. And the way that I do that, because a lot of people tell me I don't have the money, to buy all these things. And every time I go grocery shopping, I buy 1 or 2 canned goods, non-perishables. And that way it's not breaking the bank, it's not hurting your budget, but you do have something that's really stored up for yourself and your family in that worst case scenario. So once again, I don't think it's going to be completely catastrophic, but 2022 has a lot of that sort of climate change taking place.
Thank you. So now you know why we wanted to show that.
That's 99% of that, and we would agree with 100%. We don't know about the 13 degrees, but the main thing is, as she said, do be prepared. But if we tune in, if we're part of this cosmic understanding, we're going to be in the right place at the right time. And it may be ground zero for nurses and doctors or firemen that we need to help people, or it may be, people are finding their cosmic family right now. Many people are coming to Sedona, just being called, oh, that's a safe place. I want to be there. And I want to say that how much the other side is trying to help us. I actually believe, and it's my personal opinion, that the Nimitz UFO event in 2004, seen as water, something underneath the water, was working on neutralizing some of the buildup of the San Andreas fault line. They are trying to neutralize a lot of the problems, some of which are natural, some of which are man-made.
In my conversations with leading scientists who are in telepathic communication with the visitors, clearly many of these expeditions from the other side are targeting ocean areas along the West Coast, in certain areas of the Pacific, to place technologies that will help us minimize the changes that are going to come.
I mean, they've been seen over Fukushima. There's also Argentina nuclear power plant that they're seen all the time because it's always leaking stuff. They are trying to help us as best they can. We have to do it too. Many have incarnated here, starseeds like.
And we know the world has gone through many cataclysms. This was the work of Louis Alvarez at UC Berkeley, who showed in more scientific detail than anyone before him the massive destruction of the dinosaurs 60 million plus years ago, and the phenomena that this repeats itself every so many hundreds of thousands of years. So we're living at a time where we have to hold on to our seatbelts, but at the same time realize we've got angelic wings that can help us cruise over these bumps and situations. Again, other than the handful of scientists and all the facts and figures, it's important to realize that the power of the mind, the power of prayer is so precious, more powerful than all the atomic bombs at a particular event. And so we can focus that energy for positive
and to mitigate things, to move hurricanes from major cities. We've done this work. We even did prayers for peace in the Middle East in the 70s. It's so important we don't feel overwhelmed.
Positive engagement, positive mitigation, positive transformation. These are the bywords that we should use. We are here to make the change.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And they're both going to stay on as part of our after show. So we're going to get more JJ and Desiree then. We also are going to talk about their appearance at the Conscious Life Expo in a moment. But just want to let people know where you can go to get all things JJ and Desiree. And that's their primary website. And it's a busy, active website. It's keysofenoch.org. KEYSOFENOCH.org. And of course, the Keys of Enoch, which JJ wrote quite a while ago, is really one of the great, it's like the Bible of information for us. It's one of the great books. It's right up there with Autobiography of a Yogi, I think, in terms of really being a classic that almost all of us have read, almost all of us have been influenced by. So thank you, JJ. whenever I have you on the show, it's like I'm remembering when I was much younger reading The Keys of Enoch, going, this is so cool. So it's really cool to.
Oh, thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
have a plethora of documentations from very high sources that we're willing to also talk about in future events. But again, the Library of Teaching is open for all to enjoy.
Beautiful.
It's still fresh, Scott. That book is still fresh. There's a reference to 2004 where knowledge coming forward. And this is when the Nimitz and their whole beginning of disclosure began. And JJ predicted that back in 73, that it would start in 2004. So there's still things to discover in there. It still reads very fresh. One thing I just wanted to add to what Elizabeth April and Dr. Hertog said is I just got a message on my chat, on my YouTube chat, saying that the sun just released a big M solar flare today, 2 hours ago. So I just want to tell people we have our Earth ecology, but we live within a bigger solar ecology that is also affecting our weather and climate change. And we live in a galactic field as well, which is influencing our genetics and I think responsible for evolution. So it's a whole, as my next guest would say, a whole keyboard. So are we ready for Elizabeth Sator?
Not quite yet, because we want to let people know about the Conscious Life Expo.
Right. Of course.
I can share about that. I've been going for actually 30 years since it began in the 80s. And it's really like a modern mystery school. You will see the top presenters there. And of course, it hasn't been able to happen as it did, but it is happening next weekend in Los Angeles at the LAX Hilton. So if you can go there physically, I would highly recommend it. I'm going to be there. The Hertogs are going to be there. Alan's going to be there, and many other speakers like George Norrie, Billy Carson, Bashar will be there. Whitley Strieber will be there. Carolyn Corey, Jacques Vallée, Suzanne Wilson, Jimmy Church, William Henry, Linda Bolton Howe. It's really, truly a coming together and convergence. And if you cannot come, they are doing live stream. So you can be with them and see any of these speakers. And it's really important to support our conferences now. So even joining on live stream and supporting them financially is really important. They've had a hard time in the last several years staying afloat, but here they are again coming out. They are, for people who are going to be there physically, they are going to test everyone as they go in. So everyone feels safe that everyone's been tested before they go in there. And Alan's going to be there too. Right.
And Neil Garr is going to be there. So we're all going to be there. You, Deborah, you're always there. Everywhere I see you there.
Always there.
And Deborah, you know, it is actually the best, not one of the best. It is the best Body Mind Expo in the country. It really, it's phenomenal, and so much great information.
ConsciousLifeExpo.com.
Yes.
All right. Now we're ready for you to introduce Elizabeth Sartoris.
Yes, my good friend Elizabeth Sartoris. We've been in daily dialogues together. I'm not daily, weekly. I just saw her in Florida. She is a real scientist who doesn't take what people tell her, but expands beyond acceptable knowledge. And what do you call yourself? A professional snoop? This is
Cosmic snoop.
A cosmic soup. So she understands so much about climate, biology. She was there with JJ at the first disclosure meeting in the mid-70s. So she has a big scope of understanding about our interface with the extraterrestrials. But Elizabeth, I was wondering if you could just address this bigger climate issue that we're part of. And of course, the ET presence is a part of that too. So yes.
Thank you, Alan. And Alan and I go back to, I think you first interviewed me in the early 90s. And then a couple of years later, I had the privilege of being a speaker at the first disclosure conference in Washington, D.C. with the Hertogs there. And of course, John Mack and all kinds of other wonderful people. So I've been interested in that whole matter. I'm by training an evolution biologist. And so I also call myself a deep pastist in order to be a good futurist, trying to map the trajectory of our humanity that is currently undergoing this incredible wild roller coaster ride transition from a youthful to a mature phase, from a hostile competition to cooperation and all that. So many things to respond to. But let me go right to the keyboard model now, since JJ mentioned the different levels of vibrations of humans and the ETs, and then the extraterrestrials, and then the higher and higher vibrations. I've put together this very simple model of a keyboard that extends infinitely in both directions because a keyboard represents sound vibrations. And the highest sound vibrations up at the upper keys part of the keyboard are, of course, cosmic sound, which is you have to come down the keyboard into electromagnetic energy where the light field is, and then closer to matter to get the sound vibrations that are carried on air. So ultimately, the sound is cosmic sound at the high end of the keyboard, matter in the slow vibrations at the what would be the left-hand side of the keyboard if you're sitting at a piano. So we go from the matter end up into the electromagnetic energy part, which Western science only considered real once they could measure certain aspects of it with physical instruments. So Western science starts understanding, think of this keyboard as representing the entire universe and as representing the entire you. You are not a body with a mind soul, but you are made of matter, energy, spirit, all of it together, right? So Western science started at this low key end of the keyboard, moving up into electromagnetic energy when they could measure some aspects of it, and then get stuck at about the 0 point energy level. They can't go further because they can't measure it with physical instruments, and they have decreed that things have to be measurable with physical instruments to be real. Now, the other sciences, the Eastern sciences, start at the opposite end of the same keyboard in cosmic consciousness, bringing the vibrations gradually down, lowering the frequencies until they get to electromagnetic energy and matter. And what happens that way is you can see how different sciences in different parts of the world can come up with antagonistic concepts of how the universe works, with Western science saying consciousness is a late emergent product of material evolution, and the Vedics and Taoists kind of saying, no, consciousness is the source of those material energy, electromagnetic energy, material parts of the universe. So we also see why we don't have to integrate science and spirituality. The problem is that we took them apart. They're on the same keyboard. So that's a very helpful way of seeing all kinds of things, like why UFOs disappear in the sky. They simply move up into the non-material frequencies so that we can't shoot them down, which we can do when they're in our physical universe. So there's a lot that you can derive from that simple model, and I don't want to go on too long now. Maybe
you can go on just a little longer. I just want to know if you have a comment on the climate change or
sure.
bigger environments and its
yes,
relation.
The first thing I'd say is that don't expect climate change to happen according to gradual predictions of sea level rise measured in inches or whatever. As Jim Hansen, who's our best climatologist, said long ago, he was shut up for a long time and then allowed to speak again. He told me years ago, you know, we can get a meter or 2 or 3 overnight after a tsunami. A tsunami comes in and washes over your territory, and then when it recedes, the sea level just ended up that much higher. So yes, we have to be prepared. We have to give up the idea of 13 of the 20 biggest cities in the world are at sea level. The piers and airports of those coastal cities could be wiped out overnight, both of them. In other words, no import, export. I'm in Hawaii, right? And by the way, this is Kala, my Kala koi plant behind me. She's a giant, wonderful friend. Climate change, yes, it's here. And I believe that the pole shifts are part of it. And the human frequencies also affect climate. So we have to be, we talk about bad weather. There's no such thing as bad weather. There's only weather inconvenient to us humans is what we call bad weather, right? And oftentimes that's very important regenerative weather. Storms are part of it. Fires are part of it. But we are making a mess of things that we have to face what the planet is doing, and we shouldn't be aggravating it. And we know exactly what to do. We know what's right, what's good. When we become a grown-up, mature, cooperative species and we take care of each other from a place of love, it's the only place to be from. And we have to, all the pockets of communities that are doing this, going to higher ground, feeding each other with healthy organic food. I happen to be old enough so that I grew up on healthy organic food before they had farm chemicals.
Wow.
That came out of World War II. So I know it can be done, and I know how a family farm can keep improving the water table, improving the soils over time, no damage done to the ecosystem in that sense. We know what to do. And there are more, like Rumi says, there are 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the earth, and everybody has something they love doing that they can contribute to making this better world that sings to us all.
Great.
Ah.
Do you have time for one more question, Scott, or is that, I just want to,
Sure, go ahead, Alan.
I just wanted to ask you, Elizabeth, because you've been in this field of ET observation. What do you make? What is the best way to approach making contact as it's coming onto the planet any year, any day?
Hey, the best way, Alan, is obviously to be friendly rather than hostile, right? Back in '95, the first disclosure conference was called When Cosmic Cultures Meet. We were not there to prove it. We all believed that they were here, from the Andes, where they're called the doctors, and because they wore white and they could fix cars and people equally well, and people were not hostile toward them. So our problem is that we have to deal with the hostile elements that still prevail as the caterpillar is trying to become a butterfly, right? So we're at the end of this 6,000 years of patriarchal empire building, and we're going to give that up in favor of taking care of ourselves and each other in love. So what more can I say, Alan? It's wide open for us. And another Rumi quote, I believe, is, why do we stay in prison when the door is so wide open?
Yeah. Thank you, Elizabeth. Beautiful.
Elizabeth, I want to share with you a few comments. We've had such a full show so far, and Cornflower is going to be with us in a moment with music. But there's some wonderful messages that have come into our chat box, and I really want to acknowledge all the people chatting. Pam writes, after seeing Elizabeth Sartoris on Saturday Night Live, I read Gaia's Dance, the story of Earth and Us. She is a delightful writer and, of course, a wonderful speaker. I highly recommend the book. So there you go. Thank you, Pam. Carol writes, let's all remember that we eat light for our energy. So thanks to our plants and photosynthesis, for we are part of the electromagnetic spectrum. And Janet Cornell.
Deborah Moldau. Oh, I was just mentioning Deborah Moldau, our friend, also says, you inspire me every time I hear you.
We love Reverend Deb. And there she is. I'm going to put the spotlight on you for a moment, Rev. Hello, Deborah. I know that I'm imagining you and Elizabeth have a wonderful history.
Mm-hmm. I've loved Elizabeth for a long time.
Well, for those of you who are new to Elizabeth, her website has some really wonderful things going on. It is her last name, Sartoris. It's spelled Sahtoris, Sartoris.com. And that's where you can get that wonderful book that Pam was just raving about. And Elizabeth, is there anything else on your website you'd like for me to kind of point out to people?
Yes, I noticed that right under Gaia's Dance is my little sort of comic book for your cell phone called Bacteria Are Us, with the backward R, which Toys R Us went out of business right about when I was publishing this, with a wonderful friend, Kathy, who did all the illustrations, and then I designed the wrote the text and designed the layout of it. But it's a nice book for understanding the micro world, how dependent we are on it. And it's very relevant for this time because we are now treating viruses as badly as we've been treating bacteria, when the vast majority of them we are utterly dependent on for our own lives. So love your microbes.
All right, that's maximum grace for our microbes.
Keep your immune system healthy.
Elizabeth, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Scott and Deborah.
Stick
And
around as long as you want, Elizabeth.
Both Deborahs.
And speaking of Deborah, here she is to introduce our next presenter.
And we get to integrate all that incredible information with music. And we are so happy to have back one of our favorite musicians, Cornflower. What we love about him, he's an incredible musician, but he tunes into where we're all at right now. And through his heart and soul, he feels all of you in the field right now, and all the awakening we're having, all the yeses we're having, all the connections we're having, and he will uplift us even more through music. So thank you, Cornflower, for coming back and being with us again. You were such a hit on Saturday Night Live for so many times, and we're so happy to have you back again on The Awakening World.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you, Scott, and thanks everyone for being here tonight. This is my here to express just a pulse that's flowing through all of us. So if you can just take a moment, close your eyes, put your hand on your belly and your heart, and breathe in through your mouth 3 times, and then we'll get started.
It is so good to have you back with us, Ben.
Thank you so much, Scott.
You know, because cornflower is such a precious part of our family, I want all of us to take a moment right now. Cornflower hasn't been with us recently because he's been taking care of his mother. And I would love for us to just do a minute of group prayer for maximum grace for his mother who's recovering. And Cornflower, if you don't mind, I didn't tell him I was going to do this. Would you be willing to just share with us your mother's name so we can hold her in our hearts for maximum grace?
Her name is Barbara Williams Cohenauer.
Maximum grace. Maximum grace for Barbara. And thank you for being such a beautiful, dutiful son, leaving your home, moving back to her home to be with her. And I just really appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Scott. That was very beautiful. Very appreciated.
We love you. And guess what? We're going to get more Cornflower later today. He's going to do another song for us. And he is going to be participating with the magnificent Kristen Hoffman. And they are doing a concert for us, just for the Global Peace Tribe, on Valentine's night. And you know, Valentine's night obviously is a special time, but it can be challenging for people that are single. What am I going to do on Valentine's Day? Or for couples that are looking for something unique to do. Join the Global Peace Tribe. Join Cornflower and Kristen. We're putting the links into the chat box right now where you can register. Cornflower, tell us a little bit about what you and Kristen have planned.
Well, we wanted to shift it up a little bit from our sonic source activation and focus into the power of love, the many different facets of love. I believe it's the Japanese kanji that they use for their words. There's over 200 different kanji for the word love because there's so many different ways it can be expressed and felt and received and given. And, you know, we just have the word love. And it really misses so much the wide, beautiful rainbow spectrum of what that actually can mean in all the many different facets that it shows up. And so we're going to touch in on the different forms of love through the music, and we'll be channeling music related to all of that. So we're really inspired, and it's going to be more of a concert format, and really excited about it and really grateful to be coming back with Kristen again.
Well, thank you for being with us tonight. Looking forward to Valentine's night with you. I get to host that, which is always fun. And I'm going to turn it now over to Alan and Deborah both for the next introduction.
I think our next introduction is my good friend and comrade and inspiration, Neil Gar, who's like my family now. We're talking every day sometimes, couple of times a day. And he's another hard worker. It's like the Hertogs. He's like Jody. He's like Deborah and Scott. They are always at it. And he's built something amazing on his own. Portal to Ascension is an academy of science of consciousness. So happy to be associated with him. And we collaborate a lot. And he's a beautiful person. And grace, that's a key word you can say about Neil as well. Deborah, what's your thoughts about Neil?
Yeah, Portal to Ascension is amazing. I've been with Neil since the beginning, supporting him, promoting him. And the great thing about it is he gets to listen to all these amazing speakers. So he's a wealth of knowledge himself, and he's an artist. It's so great to be on mission, but then allow the art to come through, because that's another way that we all connect and the information gets transmitted. So what you're going to experience from him now is his years of dedication to the light, to the mission, and absorbing all the information that he does from incredible speakers and coming out in the amazing spoken word he's going to share with you now. Thank you, Neil, for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alan, Deborah, Scott, everybody. So glad to be here with you all. So I'm just going to get right into it. I'm going to share 3 spoken word pieces today. The first one I'm just going to do directly as I'm here full screen, and then I'm going to share my screen, and then you can read along with me for the other 2. And since this is, the theme is always the evolution of consciousness, whether we're talking about galactic heritage, UFO disclosure, ancient history. So we're going to have some themes here of the evolution of consciousness, but also I'm going to be sharing a poem called The Prism of Lyra, which is specifically about our galactic origins. But firstly, we're going to start out with this one called The Sixth Sun, which is one I actually wrote last year. So here we go. The sixth sun has risen. We're now in the sixth world, spread for years by our human peers. The sixth sun has risen. We're now in the sixth world, spread for years by our human peers. The sixth sun has risen. We're now in the sixth world, passed down for years by our human peers through oral tradition. Information about our collective mission, what a new reality would envision, spoken through Toltec and Aztec wisdom. We discuss and perceive larger cycles of time than even the Maya depicted. It was known that we're in a transition that started in 1991 as we move from the fifth to the sixth sun. What are we waiting for? What have we waited for? These wars will stop. The sunspots increase in diameter and frequency. As the frequency of this planetary body shifts and changes, so does the neural networks within our brains, kids, adults, animals, family. We've been blinded, you see, to the vibratory energy that the universe breathes. In the last of the 9 hells, exiting the solar plexus, humans unable to think for themselves, we're at a nexus point. A decision shall anoint. The sun god will point out is the Son of God that resurrects and reflects over water, including the second ocean known as space, where the cosmic rays during this transitory phase will encase and wash over the solar system. And in the skies, we may see both stars become one as we enter the sixth sun. The sixth sun has risen. We're now in the sixth world, spread for years by our human peers. The sixth sun has risen. We are now in the sixth world, passed down for years by our human peers. All right.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. We are now about to embark on a journey through the spoken word into the cosmos. And we will begin with the Prism of Lyra. I wrote this for Lisa Royale, who actually wrote the book, The Prism of Lyra, and I gifted this to her many years ago. And it was like, that book really changed my life. So I had to write this in order to encompass everything that I learned from that book. I rhythmically scratch records, visionary mass appeal, holistically heal the resonance of a presence, allow yourself to feel. Fragmentation of source, self-wishing to experience was all for one thought of what if, could I be this, the polar opposite? Through the prism we came, created a prison of the brain. Enslaved? You don't think so? There are no victims in this show. We're all playing a role. Ego, learn to let it go. Let the soul flow from the crown to the root. I'm letting you know it's only conceptual. Experience allows the wisdom to grow. Embrace the ignorance that spreads from the elitist control. When the Syrians descended into this density, the Lyrans came, looking for a place to incarnate and name a species and a race to hold the souls of they who are interdimensional entities. Integration being the third point, anoint the Christ consciousness sacred geometry to protect the kids of the universe being only one galaxy. Moving closer to the center by raising our frequency, I frequently see infinite possibilities. A contractual planet with the masses on their knees. The snake in the Bible will be found to be the positivity. Polarized by the Syrians who knew about free will, gave us the choice from the blue or red pill. The Lyrans were enraged. They wanted us to keep us ingrained in oneness and fifth dimensional grace. Instead, into darkness we came so that one day we can transcend and regain remembrance of our place. In this intergalactic plane of extraterrestrials, just to name a few, Arcturians, Palladians, and Syrians who genetically mutated early man too, create a perfect embodiment of who they are. using Stargate souls coming through stars, entering the womb to embark on a journey through the dark to once again spark and ignite the flame, rearrange the neural networks within the brain to achieve enlightenment. The universe is full of abundance. Together, we live the cosmic dance, the interdimensional manifestation of man, extraterrestrial incarnates. We're here to transform this land. We're here to transform this land. We're here to transform this land. The traveler, the resurrected one, many times faced incarnation, simultaneously happening, the desolation, sun implosion, a rip in space. For me to travel with a universal mind into planetary systems faster than the galactic kind, where the laws of physics no longer apply, where the energetic beings reside, going faster than the speed of one celestial melody, harmoniously find the frequencies that are hidden from sight. I left the density of struggle, resistance, and fight. The lessons have been learned, so it's time to climb up the dimensional ladder onto the next multi-universal ride as a quasi-physical being, half flesh, half light, the metaphysical, metaphorical, quantum theoretical truth of mankind, full disclosure of the cosmic kind. Resurrect the Christ consciousness, let the bliss flow and undergo the transition into the fifth world, prophesied to be the end of human karmic woes and the duality of friends and foes. Notice, we are about to shift the human consciousness into the dimension that is next. Allow the vortex to appear. When people start to disappear, melt and dissolve the fear, the time is near for the revolution of consciousness to stare us into the universe, we pray, eradicating the lack mentality, creating technology holistically that has never been seen through alchemy. Order is the result of anarchy. Throwing off your center of gravity only temporarily during the ascension of our galaxy and all sentient beings. During the ascension of our galaxy and all sentient beings.
Mm. Thank you. Beautiful. You know, it's nice to read it with you because it goes deeper. So thank you, Neil. Wasn't that great, Scott?
Oh my God, absolutely. You know, I love all the different ways that people are expressing these similar themes. And Neil, you do it in such a unique way. But it's true, like reading along with you, seeing the visuals that you chose at the end, you're taking us on a beautiful journey. And I want to let people know, Neil creates amazing journeys. If you have not joined yet, please, you've got to join Portal to Ascension. The website itself is portaltoascension.org. And as you heard both Alan and Deborah say, he does so many really important events. I'm going to just highlight a few. There's Marina, who you're going to be seeing in just a few minutes. But a couple of ones we really, and look at all the things he does. But tell us a little bit about this one, because it looks especially interesting to me, Neil. Tell us about the Sumerians and Mesopotamia. Neil?
Yeah, well, my introduction to all of this awareness, you know, after lifelong questioning of who am I, where did I come from, was finding the Sumerian scriptures, reading the 7 tablets of creation, and finding out about the Epic of Gilgamesh and how that connects to flood stories from around the world. So I decided to put a whole conference on it, 10-hour event, where we're going to be exploring not only the ancient Sumer all the way to Babylon, the whole of the Mesopotamia area, but the history of the Middle East. So it's going to be a 10-hour event with around 8 hours of presentations, 2-hour panel in which we're going to be exploring a lot of the awareness, for example, that we hear about the Anunnaki, Nibiru, but even going beyond that, we're going to be dissecting the text, creating a timeline of evolution from the great civilization of Sumer up until present time, and seeing how that connects to, you know, the evolution of consciousness now.
Beautiful. And a couple of other things. You've got Ancient Egypt and the Extraterrestrial Connection coming up. That's on Saturday, March 5th. And again, a lot of our favorite people, of course, Alan Steinfeld will be there, JJ and Desiree, William Henry, who is wonderful. And also, just want to acknowledge that you're going to be doing something with Marina Seren, who
Yep.
we're going to be showing in a few minutes, her video. And isn't she just an extraordinary being?
She's amazing. And let me say this is going to be specifically on tools to make contact for yourself with extraterrestrials. So that the whole event is going to be different ways you can shift your consciousness in order to manifest that reality.
Well, thank you so much, Neil, for all that you do. And you've been on this show many times. We'll continue to collaborate with you, of course. And thank you so much. We love you very, very, very much.
I just want to say, when you sign up for Portal to Ascension and you subscribe, you get how many hours of past videos? Is it thousands of hours, Neil?
Yeah, there's, if you sign up on Portal to Ascension on our homepage, you get 3,000 hours of free presentations. Since we have hours of them are available to anybody who signs up. You sign up, you get username and password emailed to you, and it's pretty much every topic I've had the opportunity to think about in the last 21 years. We have something on there, so something for everyone.
Right. Thank you, Neil. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, guys.
And here's Deborah with some wonderful announcements.
Yes, we are going to be bringing our incredible luminaries that we've had on Saturday Night Alive and that are featured on The Awakening World to you in special intimate adventures. And the first one we're going to be doing, along with the Cornflower and Kristen, is with Deepak Chopra. And we are going to be doing his book launch. He is launching an incredible book, The Abundance, The Inner Path to Wealth. And he's going to share his core revelations revealed in the new book. He's going to share his guide to success, fulfillment, wholeness, plenty, and offering a huge amount of advice to bring forth abundance, especially in these times of fear and uncertainty. And this is going to be a live interaction with him. You'll be able to ask some questions. He's also going to lead a meditation, but it'll be right here with him. So it's one of our special events. During these times, there's a contraction happening. You know, there's a lot of fear, there's lack of abundance. But Deepak Chopra has been one of our, amazing successes his whole life, just giving from his spirit. And that's what he says: to attain wealth of a lasting kind that gives your life meaning, value, and sustenance based on your daily existence is a generosity of spirit. So we're going to hear some really deep wisdom for him. And you're going to get his book sent to you directly, The Abundance, The Inner Path to Wealth. So this is something we're doing with some of our luminaries, and we're really excited to offer it. It's going to be March 7th, 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. It'll be on our newsletters and on our website. So please join us for that. And I'd love to announce on Monday, January 31st, the celebration of the birth and rise of the divine feminine. This is an incredible online offering created by Christy Michaels. She does this frequently. And this one, special one today, is happening on that special day because it's the eve of St. Bridget's feast day, and she's the patron saint of midwives. There is going to be the special guest of Antoinette Rootsdawa Hall. You know her. They've been on our show, Patu and Antoinette. She is going to be debuting her new single from her upcoming Divine Feminine album, called I Am Mother Spirit. There will be many other priestesses, including Christy Michael, Santon Delvey. Scott is going to be on the show, and I'm also going to be on the show giving a transmission on ascension, which is one of my passions, and I'll be offering my Ascension Tips book on there. So we're putting the information in the chat room, and hope you can join us Monday, January 31st, 6 p.m. PST, Pacific Time. And one more thing I want to announce, it's really amazing that the conferences are coming back. And this is another one that's going to be coming this year. This is an Ascension Retreat in Sedona, the Sedona Ascension Retreat. This is produced by Susan Ross. She's another amazing being that feels called to bring together the high-level presenters and give a transmission. There's William Henry will be there, Michael Jocko, Laura Eisenhower, Maureen St. Germain, Brad Olson, Marguerite Rigoloso, Celestine Starr, just a whole host of characters. And Alan Steinfeld's going to be there. It's March 18th through the 20th. And of course, in Sedona, that is the most amazing place that you can be for this type of conference that really is high-level teachings about the Ascension. Alan, do you want to share anything about it?
Yes, Susan's been a figure in Sedona. She really knows the land. There's lots of workshops associated with this, and we're also going to go out on the land in some tours. And to be there on the equinox is always special. And we expect to kind of gather energy and make it an activation. So, and you'll be there, Deborah. So thank you.
I will definitely be there. And yeah. Suzanne is giving us a promo code of Ascension 10 where you can get 10% off. So,
and Suzanne will be our guest tomorrow night or tomorrow morning on Sacred Sundays that Scott is doing with me about the final phase of these 3-day programs we've been doing. So beautiful, Deborah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we have a couple of more announcements we want to make. Many of you saw my wonderful co-host, Eden Amadora, last weekend. She did a great job. And she truly is the embodiment of the Divine Feminine in human form. I'm so impressed with who she is. And she's a mother of 2 children. She leads a balanced life. And she and I have been conversing a lot about how important it is for the Divine Feminine, the Divine Masculine, for us to really understand how to embody that and how to heal. And so we've decided that we are going to gift all of you with a special event tomorrow afternoon. This is our gift to the Global Peace Tribe. It's a free event, 2 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific time, 5 o'clock Eastern. And it's going to be all about healing the relational dynamics by integrating our Divine Feminine and our Divine Masculine. So please join Eden and myself. And a little bit later during the after show, I'm going to show you a brief little 3-minute video that Eden and I filmed today to introduce a little bit more about it. But put it on your calendars right now, 2 o'clock. You can come into our Zoom room, and we're putting the link to the Zoom room in. Again, it's a Zoom meeting, so you can come in, and if you want, you have the option of turning your camera on. Or you can just watch. And you can also watch, it'll be out on Facebook. It'll be on all the different Facebook pages. The Sign Network is going to carry it. So you'll be able to see it in a number of ways. And then finally, I just want to let people know about next weekend's Awakening World. And next weekend, we are partnering with a brand new company called Relation Flix. Think Netflix, but it's all video and movies and television about relationships. And many of their best teachers are out of my Love Coach Academy. The 2 people who created it I've collaborated with quite a bit. And so next weekend, it's going to be the Relationship Depth Summit. And we're going to really be exploring relationships. So we've got some great teachers on all sorts of different aspects. And we also have the wonderful Kristen Hoffman is going to be providing music, and Sister Stone is coming back. So 2 of our favorites providing music and all about relationships next Friday night, next Saturday night, and next Sunday morning. So definitely we look forward to seeing you and joining us as we continue our Awakening World programs. So there you have it. And now to introduce Cornflower once again, here's Deborah.
Yes, I don't think Cornflower needs any introduction. If you heard him in his last musical share, he is amazing. We love him. He tunes into right where we're at from the heart. And there he is right now, tuning in and getting ready to give us another amazing performance. Love you, Cornflower.
ocean with no beginning.
We're all going to have to take a little breath after that. That was powerful. That's just so cool, Cornflower. People are up and they're dancing and moving and grooving. Kind of a fun message from Pam. Pam writes, I love that Cornflower paired up with Kristen Hoffman, meeting each other through this show. I'm wondering about future pairing with Omashar. I see similar energy, so maybe. Omashar is going to be playing in just a few minutes. But before we let Cornflower go, I really want to encourage everybody. Remember that the pandemic has been hard on a lot of people. It's been especially horrific for musicians because most festivals, conferences haven't happened. Touring hasn't been able to happen. Most even clubs and restaurants where people play hasn't been happening. So just as everything has gone online, so do we need to support musical artists like Cornflower. So first of all, go to his website if you haven't gone there yet. Go to cornflowermusic.com, and he's really generous. He puts a lot of stuff up on his website, including his sonic source activation, which is amazing, of course, obviously. I'm a little partial to that. All sorts of news and updates. So, definitely go there, get some of his podcasts, get some songs, and make sure you register, sign up so that you can get his new music releases. But there's one more thing I want to ask people to do, and that is when you go into joining, where is it? Where's the, I've had this before. Patreon, where do we find the Patreon?
Yeah, it's right underneath there. The Flower Seeds Plus is the name of it.
There we go. Okay, I got
That's
lost
right there.
Flower Seeds Plus. So if you go here and you'll learn all about how to join and support him through Patreon, which is what I do. That's how I support Kristen and Cornflower, Nina Gray. It's a wonderful, wonderful way for us to support our artists. So you click, you join. It's only $3.33 a month, or you can make a bigger donation every month if you want. But we got to really support our musical artists. So we all love Cornflower. Now is the time to support him, and this is the way to do it.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you all so much for tonight. This has been incredibly special to be a part of.
Oh, it's good to have you back, and can't wait until Valentine's night. It's going to be very special.
Going down.
Thanks a lot, brother.
Yeah, brother.
All right, Alan, we're in the home stretch. I just want to remind people that we're going to have a really interesting video and then a conversation about this remarkable woman that has made such an impression on both Alan Steinfeld and myself, Marina Seren. Then we've got some music from Omoshar, and then we're going to roll right into an after show that's going to include a chance to answer some of your questions, maybe even bring some of you on camera. Neil Gar, I think, is going to bless us with more spoken word. I've got a special video with Eden Amadora. So don't go away. There's a lot left on this very special Saturday night. Alan, tell us your thoughts about Marina Seren.
Well, I also want to say before we talk about Marina that tomorrow on Sacred Sundays, I hope to have more conversation among the participants, among the people in the Zoom room, because what we've unpacked these last 2 days is a lot of information I think people have to digest and see where their own consciousness is within the big scope of the cosmos, of making contact. And I'd love to unpack that tomorrow. We'll do a little bit here with Marina. Marina Seren someone introduced her to me saying, you have to meet this woman. And I did an initial interview. I didn't know anything about her. I was blown away. Scott's blown away. She was 20 years old when I met her, and she just opened her mouth, and wisdom of the higher knowledge of different planets, of her incarnations as a starseed, her mission on Earth. She was channeling this higher level. She is someone who's come into this Earth plane with full knowledge of where she came from and awareness of her genetic modifications, which you can see make her eyes very bigger, makes her very intelligent, very perceptive. And I think she's going to be one of the superstars of our community. And I said when I was 20, I hardly knew how to, leave the town, do anything, tie my shoelace. And here she is bringing through incredible spiritual knowledge and galactic knowledge. So,
Alan,
Scott,
I just want to say that if you couldn't tie your shoelaces at 20,
no,
I want to acknowledge how far you've come. You've come a long way.
That's an exaggeration, but compared to where she is, that's what I felt. It took me years of study to realize some of the insights she has at 20. So this is a little clip. This is your share with her that you did. And this was about archetypes and the understanding of archetypal wisdom. And Let me see. No, that didn't go through. Wait, let me try that again.
While you're finding it, Alan, I want to say a
Yeah.
couple of things.
Yes.
So, um, as you drop in and watch this woman, I want to just remind you, you are actually seeing a woman that is a hybrid. It's kind of like the first time you go to a foreign country or the first time you meet somebody of a really different nationality. That's what you're about to see. So drop in, and here's Marina Seren.
Marina Seren with Scott Katamas.
Focus on. First of all, thank you, Alan, as always, for being my co-host and coordinating this interview with Marina. And Marina, it's great to see you again.
Thank you. It's great to be with you in a show again.
Yeah, thank you. And, because we are the Global Peace Tribe, I've got a couple questions that I want to ask you for our whole audience.
Sure.
You have had an extraordinarily rich series of experiences. And as you describe them, you're a beautiful communicator. You describe in great detail. I just want to start by asking you, to what degree are those experiences your own inner archetypal, own interdimensional experiences that are part of your own personal soul growth, your own personal evolution playing out kind of in your own archetypal landscape? And to what degree are they connected to what I call group consensus reality?
Well, that's a really interesting question. I actually found out that these experiences, these multidimensional experiences that I had so far in programs with extraterrestrial beings and multidimensional entities, have a lot of archetypal meaning behind when it comes to my soul, my beingness. So they have become great reflections, great mirrors, let's say, of my soul, for my soul to look at that energy, those strong connections that I hold about myself, those meanings that I am myself, like, again, these archetypal energies. So it's been like a pretty great opportunity for my soul to grow a lot, that development of understanding of myself, in bigger scales, because of course, when there's really big narrative in between, when there's a really big, let's say, employment of your energy, there's a lot of meaning behind it. So it becomes a great scenario for your soul to grow in many different ways, in many different directions, and it have many different purposes, So it's an endless, always growing opportunity for you. And I have to say that I'm really grateful for them, because it also made me reflect to the structure of existence, because again, the structure is not separated from the meaning, So when you find meaning, when you observe these archetypal energies that make you who you are here on earth in this experience as a human being, you'll always do it, with the structure, because meaning and structure goes hand in hand. So for me, having a lot of meaning to explore and to remember about who I am, to tap into about myself, it has helped me to learn a lot about this structure of existence and the structure of consciousness itself, which is great because it's one of my highest excitements.
Thank you. Alan did a wonderful job of bringing up earlier how important it is to just say no. And I liked what you had said in his earlier interview, that just because it's an ET presenting itself, it doesn't necessarily mean its intentions or what's best for you, or it's something to give our power away. For anyone watching who does feel like they have trouble saying no to extraterrestrial influences, whether it's in the dream time or even in their own personalized reality, do you have any advice, any tips of how to really set strong, clear boundaries?
Yes. And that's actually something that I think is the most important thing right now to develop as an internalized, let's say, a knowledge, or tool for exploration of consciousness, outside of the universe. when it comes to intergalactic communications or connections, interactions. I think that we are in the middle of really important times. Disclosure is coming, first contact is coming, and we are in the course of developing more of this conscious, connections with other extraterrestrial beings, civilizations, and extra-dimensional beings too. So I think that's a tool and a knowledge that we need to understand and integrate, to navigate the most safely possible and to make it the most enjoyable, because it's all about joy, it's all about excitement, So I think that for those who are who need to know how to achieve that, I think that my best advice is that, there is a lot of people, there is a lot of teachings that will tell you that if you have an encounter, you have already made that agreement from a higher perspective, It's something that is supposedly like a soul contract, something that it has been already, premeditated, but that is true. That is completely true. So there's no point in denying it. But the point is that we need to understand that just because it's true, it doesn't mean that it is not meant to be changed. Because we are creator beings, and the power of creation is in the now moment. And because the power of creation is in the now moment, we have the potential, we have the rights, we have the power to recreate all of those agreements on this level that will also will be created from a higher level. Because many times people say, yes, well, technically, as you say, we can't recreate those contracts in the moment. But how can I do it? Because I am disconnected in a certain way from my higher mind. We are not connected. It's all, I am subordinated to the higher mind. And that is a misconception. That is not completely true. What it is separated in a sense is the disintegration of perception from the higher mind perspective of, of you, the exploration, the expression of you as a being. But just because there is a disintegration of perception from its eyes, its perspective, it doesn't mean that there is a completely disconnection from the higher mind and the physical experience that is the focalized, perspective to have the, the exploration of consciousness here in the ego mind, in the physical plane or dimension. That is not true. That is an illusion. So, for instances, when the principle, the Hermetic principle of as above and as above, so below, teaches us this thing that I was describing. So, for instances, if you are to create an action, if you're to do something in the physical, those frequency patterns reflect itself in the above levels. So, for instances, when you do something, it is quite paradoxical, because if you have done it here, it means that in the higher level, you were also creating that. And so it is the same other way around, because they are a mirror, they are the same. There's only oneness, So that specific teaching teaches that we are our higher mind. It's true that we have been disintegrated in perception, but we are our higher mind. So we always have the power and the potential to set our boundaries and state clearly to the universe what we prefer to create for ourselves and what it is not, that we do not wish to align with anymore. Because it's going to be heard by the universe. And it is not just your physical mind and ego, it is also your higher mind, because it's always expressing and communicating through you.
Wow.
Very interesting. She brings up some very major points here about contact. In the first part, she's saying there's archetypal or symbolic signs that come through these beings. So they aren't just what we think they are, but they're symbols sometimes on a soul level. That's what I got from it. Did you get something like that, Scott? Or
Yeah, I mean, what I appreciate is that she keeps bringing it back to the oneness,
Mhm.
and that for me is like the most important thing of all, is that all of the experiences we have are our own unique journey back home to learning to love ourselves and learning to remember that we are far more than just this body. Let's enjoy the body while we have it. You know, it's a blessing, but we are multidimensional beings existing simultaneously in a much more complex system than these little brains that we have can possibly comprehend.
Right. Well,
And I love that almost every one of our teachers, every one of our speakers keeps bringing us back to that, the spiritual part of it, but also recognizing that each person has their own unique journey back to awakening, back to remembering who they are.
right. And in the second part of your question, which was my discussion with her and discernment, there's a little bit of argument within the community, people who say, okay, you've agreed to be abducted and you can be abducted. Are those friends of yours talking to you back there?
That's my dog saying it's time for a WALK.
So Marina's saying, yes, maybe you've agreed in the past on a higher level to make contact, to be abducted, but we're present beings and it's okay to change your contract if you think that's no longer appropriate in this moment. And other people are saying, no, you made that on a higher level. And who are you on this level to change your agreements? But I agree with Marina. It's up to us. It's like, it's just say no. It's the, if you don't want to now, because in your present mind, you have the right to say, okay, the relationship is over. We're finished. Let's have another kind of relationship. So she's empowering herself with coming out and speaking up against what a lot of people in the community may not agree with that, but I tend to agree with that presence overrides the past and we can break our past contracts. What do you think?
Beautiful. I agree. I want to remind people that you can go deeper with Marina. Once again, Neil Gar, who we just met, is going to have an entire experience just with Marina. Of course, it's online on Thursday, March 17th. And I know I'm going to register for that. And definitely, I encourage you. And also,
should we tell them what we're thinking of doing?
I was just going to do that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. So Alan and I have been talking with Marina. She's never been to the United States. So we're going to bring her over here. And we're going to do a kind of a tour. We're kind of imagining dates on the East Coast in New York that Alan will organize. And then Sedona, Arizona, San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco Bay Area. And each event that she does will combine her with one other amazing person. So maybe in Sedona, it might be with her talks. And in Southern California, it'll be with Whitley Strieber. Right. And up here in the Bay Area, maybe with Celestine Starr. So we're looking at that being in mid to late May and early June. And of course, you'll be getting lots of information about it between now and then. So.
Right. The thing about bringing her over, she is living in Spain and English is not her first language. And I love to say she really taught herself English because she knew she had this bigger mission. Now, yes, it's great to talk to Spanish people, but she wanted to talk to the rest of the world. So she taught herself English. And that's why you hear that little accent, but she has an amazing vocabulary and look for her. I have a bunch of videos. Actually, I'll put something in the chat about the video about discernment that she just put together. I'll get that later. And there's going to be more, and I have a whole playlist, but look for her as she matures and as she comes into her own. So.
Absolutely. And George Noble is saying, bring her to Mount Shasta. We'll see. There's not quite as many people in Mount Shasta to draw upon as there is in Los Angeles, but we'll see if we can work that out. Ashland, Oregon is a good shot.
Ashland, maybe Portland. Portland, maybe too. Portland is a great place. Eugene. Anyway, I'm excited about that. And she's excited about sharing because she's getting downloads all the time. She is evolving.
And thank you, Alan, for all the interviews you've done with her, bringing her into this world. And yeah, everybody, make sure you do go to Alan's YouTube channel, New Realities, and check out all the videos that he's created with her and with many other people.
I'll put that in the chat. It's youtube.com/new realities, and you could subscribe and take out a super chat and support the channel, which is one of the first YouTube channels. I was on there in 2006, even before Google bought YouTube. I was one of the early creators. So there's that. And there's also a link to that's my YouTube channel. Yes, you can see my latest videos and my playlists. YouTube.
Amazing all the work that you do.
I have about 3,000 videos there. And then, of course, my luminaries, Joe Dispenza, Deepak Chopra. Who else is there? Is that Sandra? Yeah.
There's a lot. And it's beautiful. So thank you, Alan, for the amazing work you're doing. Right. And I want to get to Omashar.
Wait, one more thing. Can we just tell people about my book? If you want my book, go to Amazon. Go to Making Contact on Amazon, Alan Steinfeld, order the book on Amazon. And it's a real textbook for getting into this level of consciousness, especially for people who have no idea what we're talking about here. Nobody's watching that like that, but your relatives, the people, your people at work, they may think you're a little out there, but this is the book that kind of sets a baseline.
So right. There it is. You can get it. Making Contact, and you can get it on Audible. You can actually buy the book itself as a book, hardcover, audiobook, Kindle. There's a lot of ways to get this. And you've got some great presenters on this, writing essays.
Right. The Hertogs, Linda Moulton Howe. This is a collection of essays that are progressive. It takes you from the external understanding of the phenomena to the consciousness level. So yeah, John Mack, who's one of the all-stars, Whitley Strieber. I got an unpublished essay by John Mack, never put in print before. Whitley Strieber's there, Grant Cameron, Nick Pope. So they've all given me original essays, and Carolyn Corey, Mary Rodwell. These are the all-stars of our team. So I was really happy to put this together, and it's doing well in the public. People seem to like it. So thank you, Scott, for that little promotion.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alan. And Alan's going to stick around for the after show. A reminder that on our after show, right after Omashar plays music, we're going to have John Martin with some amazing videos. If you've never seen his videos, they're incredible. And if you have seen them before, you get to watch again and listen to his music and his beautiful voice. Neil Gar with a little bit more, Eden Amador video. And we've got some of those special surprises. So stick around for the after show, and we're going to answer your questions. The Hertogs are coming back. Alan will be here, so we're going to answer some questions. So definitely stick around for the after show. I want to acknowledge Omashar, who has come into our world with a bang. He was on our show last week. And if you don't know Omashar, he is really a wonderful metaphysical musician. And he brings a lot of joy to his work. He's an accomplished singer and songwriter, transformational workshop facilitator. He calls his music metaphysical pop, and it celebrates the connection of all life and the journey we're taking home to our true self. So Omashar, thank you so much for being with us 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, what an honor. And I'm so full from last weekend and this weekend. I'm going to have to go for a walk in the snowy cold outside. I'm here in Colorado currently, and that'll definitely ground me. I know we're coming to the end of the show here. I have a song that I've chosen called The True Ones. And all of the songs that I write, they're either divine consciousness speaking to me or me speaking to divine consciousness, or vice versa. And this is a song about the awakened ones. This is how we feel as we awaken. And so for the awakening world, it's perfect. And I'll just get on with it. And that's right. Hang on a minute. I'm just going to put in the chat. Where are we? This is the lyrics to this song. So here we go. Without further ado.
Thank you.
You can sing along. All my songs are prayers. Good. Strap yourself in. Breathing free again. I love the air we breathe, and as we fly again, I love the sacred sky. Now we are whole again. I love the way we've changed, with open hearts again. I love the love we are. We are rising, there's no disguising the truth of who we are. With our hearts connected again, now we are the stars. And as we walk again, we know the sacred earth. And as we see again, to ourselves we give birth. And as we feel again, our boundaries dissolve, and free to love again, right from the heart of one. We are rising, there's no disguising the truth of who we are. With our hearts connected again, now we are the stars. And now that we are home, and all is said and done, light can find its way through all the true ones, and broken hearts resolve into the song of life. And the song of life will now be heard by all. And sing along now. We are rising, there's no disguising the truth of who we are. With our hearts connected again, now we are the stars. With our hearts connected again, now we are the stars.
Well, Omashar, when you take a look and read the comments, people are saying all sorts of, bring him back. We love him. He's awesome. So you are definitely a big hit
Thank you so much.
as one of our
Yeah.
favorite new artists.
I've played pretty much everywhere on the planet over the last 2 decades, and so this last couple of years of I don't know, Zoom calls is kind of interesting, and I'm really, really grateful to have found the Global Peace Tribe because I can express without restraint. So thank you.
Well, we love you, and I want to let people know how you can get more Omashar. It's his name,
So
omashar.com.
So
OMASHAR.com.
and just listen to me on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Music, and that gives me 0.00001 each listen.
Great. Well, are you going to stick around and
Yes, I am.
another number in the after show?
I'm going to be here for the after show, and I'll play another one if there's time. Otherwise, I'll just listen.
We would love you to play another one. I'm going to bring Deborah on to say goodnight. Thank you, Deborah. It's great to have you with us again.
Yeah, great to be back. Great show as always. Love you, Alan. Appreciate
Thank you,
Scott. So just incredible as always.
Well, thank you. And we'll look forward to seeing you on Valentine's night.
Mm-hmm.
And tomorrow, Scott, what do we have to look forward to tomorrow morning?
We've got a lot. It's been an embarrassment of riches with so many remarkable people that you've brought on for this show, Alan, really. So tomorrow we've got Suzanne Ross, whose Sedona event that we talked about. I'll kind of go there again.
Geraldine. Okay, yeah. Well, let's look at that first. And yes,
Suzanne Ross, there she is, and she really has a depth of understanding about our multidimensional self, light body activation, and how we can really ascend. So Suzanne's going to be with us tomorrow, which will be very special.
And she'll be talking about that conference that I'm a part of, and one of our other guests tomorrow, Geraldine Orozco, is going to be on the panel tomorrow too. Tomorrow, Sunday, the Sacred Sunday show at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And Geraldine, she's like Marina. She's on that level. She's getting access to DNA programs, the upgrade of consciousness as it kind of connects with our multidimensional ET realities. She was a corporate meditation teacher, and one day she had this experience, and she'll tell us tomorrow, where she just found herself aboard a ship and she started to remember whole other level of reality.
So she's going to be with us, and also Barbara Lamb.
Yes. Barbara Lamb is the dame, the grand dame of regressions, ET regression. If you think you've had some kind of contact, Barbara Lamb is the person to go to connect you to that experience. So
that's our Sacred Sunday show tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And I want to briefly play, I mentioned before that Eden Amadora and I are doing something very special. And that's going to be tomorrow afternoon. This is a free event all about healing the relational dynamics. And I'm going to put the Zoom room in the chat box in a moment. And Eden and I decided to make a little video, Alan. We shot it just today. And this is just a few minutes as an introduction to Eden and I and what we're going to be doing tomorrow. Let's take a look. Hey everybody, Love Coach Scott here, and I am putting the camera on my dear friend Eden Amadora, who I've really enjoyed co-hosting and collaborating with recently. You've seen her on The Awakening World and on Saturday Night Live, and she really is the embodiment of the Divine Feminine in human form. She's a mother of two, she has a business, she's an entrepreneur, and she does incredible work of really helping other women drop into their divine feminine, to remember who they truly are. And so I have tremendous respect for her. And as a result, we've decided we're going to do something together.
It's so wonderful to be here with you, Scott. Thank you so much for inviting me once again. And yeah, I'm just so touched to collaborate in this way, as we have talked about the importance of the divine feminine and divine masculine coming into harmony and balance and unity in the world. And that is what will bring so much peace. between genders, peace between relationships, peace between all beings. So I'm passionate about this. I do teach women in archetypal temple work. We merge and we embody the archetypes of the divine feminine in the 13 Moon Mystery School. And I also teach about the intermarriage work, which is really important to come into balance within ourselves with those forces of our masculine and feminine essence. And I'm excited about getting to speak to you much more about this on Sunday in this very special meeting we're doing.
Yeah, and it's very spontaneous. It came out of a conversation Eden and I were having. So please join us. It's free. It's a kind of a free event that we're putting together tomorrow, Sunday, at 2 o'clock Pacific time. So it'll be 5 o'clock Eastern. And you can always watch it live on Facebook. But I want to really invite you to come into the Zoom room. And I'll put the Zoom room link into our chat box and onto the Facebook primary pages. So again, hoping you'll join us tomorrow, 2 o'clock. And Eden, I'm really looking forward to this conversation. It'll be a Zoom meeting, so people that come into the Zoom room can interact with us. And I'm honored to be collaborating with you.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things is the participation and to hear what's going on for them and in their hearts. And I just wanted to make note of this beautiful image you created of us with this violet color and these like hands of light behind it. And in the archetypal work that I offer, that color is really a frequency of the goddess of compassion, or, you know, the Buddha of compassion, Avalokiteshvara. And I've done these rituals with men and women together in person where it is deep healing and forgiveness ceremony. So we can actually go into that a little bit on Sunday, on tomorrow's show, some of those offerings to invite people to feel and experience with us and creating that healing, that beauty.
Wonderful. Well, there it is, everybody. It's going to be a great afternoon. Please do join us. Thanks for watching. It's going to be a Zoom meeting. So if you want, people who come in can turn the cameras on and participate, and or you can just watch.
Well,
Yes,
for tomorrow too, for our Sacred Sunday, how can people be a part of the Zoom room and for the thing? What's the link for that?
Always the same. Register by going to globalpeacetribe.com. When you register, you're going to get the links to all 3 of our shows for the next 3 months. So one registration, you get an email, gives you the links, and you're all set. Now, any of you that are in the Zoom room now, you probably already got the links for tomorrow. It is a different link. Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday morning are different links. But when you register, you get an email right away. You get an email reminder once a week that gives you all the links.
Great work, Scott. I mean, it's a lot of planning to do this every week and plan it out and get the guests and plus all these other extracurricular activities you are doing.
Actually, to be honest, it's true. I'm doing hosting 6 shows in 4 days. The Awakening World 3 shows, the show with Eden. I'm doing the Mary Magdalene event with Christy Michael on Monday night. And I did something with Sylvan. So it's kind of a busy time.
I don't know how you stay in front of the screen, the Zoom screen, for that long.
That's the hard part, to be honest. I do, yeah. Being in front of the computer. So you hear my dog barking? That's because he's saying, come on, Dad, get the fuck off the computer and let's go for a WALK.
We have an after party to go to.
We do. We have an after show. And I want to... we're going to start our after show off with John Martin. I'm going to bring John on right now. John, I'm going to play you a video from the one that we played last night, just because it's so beautiful. And the way you talk to these beings is so precious. So for any of you who don't know John, I got to say, he's one of my favorite people that I've met during the pandemic and through these online shows. His heart is so pure, so beautiful. And you're about to experience that as we take a look at this amazing video compilation that he's put together. These are all videos that he has made. Over how long a period, John?
This one is the last year and a half.
Wow.
And these are UFOs. Is this with night vision goggles or just
I use a psionics night vision camera, and I found a guy that modifies it with a 3x magnifier. As soon as I did that, they recognized it and they would drop in right into that tiny spot that was magnified.
Well, if you've never seen a UFO, you're going to see one now, because this is what they look like when you go out with these night vision. Especially in Sedona, you see these ships that you can't see with your naked eye. So yes, very exciting.
All right.
And music by John.
It on just randomly. It's never random, is it, dear friends? Wow. Hey, that's not the greatest thing you've ever seen. Wow, friends. Spectacular. It's never random, is it, dear friends? Wow. Hey, that's not the greatest thing you've ever seen. Wow, friends. Hey, my friend. Hey, beautiful one. Oh, my gorgeous friend, you are so awesome. So great to see you tonight, sweet friend. Hey, how are you, brother? Oh, how wonderfully done. You give me a sister's bump. Love you, that was perfect. Thank you so much. Awesomely done. You are so cool. You are so incredible, my brother. How wonderfully done, beautiful one. How absolutely incredible you are. You are just absolutely fantastic. Thank you for that. Ooh, nice turn. Hey. Hey. You are always a part of this, aren't you, dear one? You are magnificent, just like all of my other beautiful friends. How gorgeous. Forgive me for steering away, dear friend. I had to look at my dear friend here. Can you turn? Yes, you can. Wow. You are super moving. Can you turn again? Yes. Wow. Thank you, loveliest. Oh, there's my friends. Oh, there's two. Oh, how gorgeous. Wow. So awesome, friends. Beautifully done. Wow, that was great. Thank you, sweet friends. You're so awesome. There you are. Hey, beautiful, lovely friends. You're so wonderful and amazing, dear ones. Much love to you always. Hey. So well done. Thank you, sweet friends. So much love to you, dear ones. Thank you. Beautifully done. Thank you, dear friend. Hey, beautiful one. Hey, sweet friend. You're so awesome. Absolutely great. Hey, sweet friend. So amazing. Whoa, y'all are doing it together. Whoa, I'm going to follow this one. Oh, it's so amazing. Thank you, beautiful ones. Absolutely great. Beautifully done. Thank you. Gorgeous. Beautifully done, friends. Thank you. Hey, my friend. Hey, lovely one. So good to see. Oh, you went this way too. How wonderful. Wonderfully done, friends. Thank you. Gorgeous. Just absolutely amazing. Look at that. Thank you, gorgeous ones. My gracious. You're really doing it tonight. Thank you. That is the most amazing thing ever. Thank you, lovely ones. There, my friend. Oh, wow. You did it again, sweet friends. I love y'all. Thank you. Thank you for that. You did it. You absolutely did it. Thank you. Thank you, beautiful ones. Wow. Thank you for doing it again for me, sweet friends. Amazing. Thank you, gorgeous ones. Thank you, my dear friends. So incredible. Thank you, loveliest. Wow. There's my friend. Hey, beautiful one. Hey, look at you turning. Oh, how wonderful. Thank you, beautiful one. Wow. You are the greatest. Hey, sweet dear friend. That was magnificent. Thank you, dear one.
Whoa, that was moving fast. There, my friend's gorgeous. Beautiful friend. Oh, I caught you. How wonderful. Thank you, beautiful one. I was hoping I would see you tonight. Well done, sweet friend. Beautiful. Oh, look at you go. You are so awesome. Hooray. Well done. Oh, that was great.
You know, I love playing that because, John, the vibration of love that you bring to your work, that to me is the greatest teaching. I so appreciate all of our wisdom teachers, but that example of just your consistent gratitude, your consistent putting love out there, putting appreciation out there. So, of course, you're having probably more contact on a regular basis than almost anyone. And that's just a great teaching for how we should be in the world, not just when we're talking to our galactic family, but when we're talking to all of each other. So thank you, John, for being such a beautiful role model.
It's a pleasure, Scott. And to touch on Marina's point, when I had the large craft that came, and it was kind of an overpowering emotion for me, and they recognized that, and they pulled back. And it was probably 2 or 3 months before I had the next experience, and I was walking my dog outside, and I saw these lights crossing overhead. And I didn't even recognize what it was. And then they started flashing at me. And so what I did is I got a Adirondack chair and put it out in my courtyard. and two of them came, and one split off, and I just felt like waving to it, and it grew in intensity about 3 times, and I waved at it again, and it did it again, and I waved at it one more time, and it did it. And so I knew it was them. And from that point on, I just made it a daily practice to, when I'm outside, I share my life with them. When I have great things that happen, when I have difficulties, I share it. When I take my dog out in the morning, I say good morning to them. It was so lovely seeing you last night. I look forward to seeing you again. And it's something we all can do if we project what we love, project what's important to us. The universe recognizes that.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Well,
Are you getting, when's the last time you made contact like that, John?
A couple of days ago. It was real. I was going to go out tonight, but it's really, really cold. So, but I have a little park right next door, so I just walk over there and have a little picnic table, and I set my cameras up, and I say, hey to them, and here they come. And some of them, I have another video. If we can't play it here, I'll put it on my YouTube channel. But some of the really super bright, they tell me they're 6-dimensional beings, and I feel that's correct. And so they come in very, very frequently, and then they interact also with the faster ones, which was what this one kind of I concentrated on the fast ones on that particular video.
You said you also kind of emanate a love field out there, so that helps them show up, right?
Well, they send it to me just as strongly, absolutely. So we bounce off each other, and to be able to catch something that fast, because they're probably going 800 or 900 miles an hour. Some of them that are very high are probably going thousands of miles an hour. But when your frequency is connected, then you can lock in. And so, and they stage themselves. Some of those clips are only 1 or 2 minutes apart, because once they start, they just really start doing all these incredible aerobatics. That one, I would love to get a CGI where it came in and it stopped and turned and did these aerobatics, and it was so amazing. And that's the one that comes in and made the human shape. There was like 13 of them, or 15, or some number like that.
Right. John, I want to read to you a couple of comments, and then we're going to bring the Hertogs on. Jane Hernandez writes, "Thank you for your soothing, calming, beautiful voice and vibration. Much love and blessings to you." And that really sums up, I think, how so many of us feel. Lots and lots of thank you, Johns. Omashar writes, "John, the love you share with these beings is palpable."
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. And Mark Denisovsky, one of our regulars, writes, "I sat on the back patio of our condo in Sandy Springs for years and never saw this. Now I've learned it's important to look up." Right?
Well, it's not just looking up, but there has to be a directed effort. You have to make the connection, the psychic thought to project. The speed of thought is incredibly fast, and it goes well beyond our local area. And so I have them. Some videos I actually have them popping into our dimension. You can see a bright flash as they pop in, and they'll appear, 20 degrees from there. But the really large deep space craft, when they come in, they'll do a shooting star effect, and then you'll see the really big, beautiful.
Maybe we should do a star watch at Sandy Point. Let's do
Sandy Springs.
Right. In locations, not really. I go down to Florida and they pop, I tell them before I leave, I'm going to go down to Sandy Springs. And as soon as I'm there they are. So, we can do it anywhere you like, really.
Wow. Great.
I want to just real quickly, Alan, we're going to hear from the Hertogs, and we're going to be on for a few more minutes, and then we'll finish with an Omashar song. But if anybody has questions, now is the time to put your questions or essential comments into the chat box for us to read and respond to. So now is the time to do that.
I just want to say, be on the subject, J.J. Hertog, after he had his transcendent experience in 1973, and Desiree started to see lots of ships overhead. Can you talk about that, both of you, what you saw in those early days?
Well, let me start, Ariane, with John, because actually that's exactly what your book is about, Alan. That once you've had that connection, either seeing a UFO, you don't even have to see an ET physical, but just the UFO, you are entangled with them. And so you can be, as John said, anywhere on the planet and have that interconnectedness. It's really quantum physics, but it's also consciousness like we're talking about. So now Dr. Hertog talks about inductive linkage, because also once he had the contact with Enoch, which was the seventh from Adam, and taken into the higher worlds, not through a UFO, but through a light presence and a light pillar, he was able to always be, in some cases, connected with that energy.
Right. So when it's important to go beyond mere observation to consciousness contact, because of the linkages that have to be there on the various strata. Otherwise, it is just phenomena, and not what the ancient Greeks called the noumena, the inner essence, the inner experience. As one of my students says, illustrated in this picture, which I'm holding up, the human being is surrounded by light that is coming from a higher source of contact. In this case, his body chakra areas are illuminated, and by using sacred language or sacred mantras, as we see here in the Aramaic and the ancient Hebrew, the body is receptive as a musical vehicle. A musical response holds the energy.
No, we have to realize it really is all consciousness. It's all consciousness power. And we are all interconnected with everyone and everything. And especially when we make that connection, we see this with mothers with their children. So yes, Alan, it's amazing how interconnected we all are. I know you and I and Dr. Hertog, you know, we think about you, you call us on the phone.
We're connected. But Linda, 5959, Linda asked a really important question, and maybe to John too. How do you know they're benevolent versus the bad ones? You know, how can you tell which ones you want to make contact with? I think
that's the energy field. If you put out a higher frequency of love, that frequency has to be matched or not matched. And that's part of the filter that's built into the higher chakras or the higher seals. So it's more than symbolic logic. It's an actual experiential realm that you go into, without which you simply are the victim of government reports or statistical curves, or who knows, engineers who are sticking their thumb in their mouth and wondering, gee, this is interesting, but so what? You have to have the courage to have the holistic experience.
And I would say that goes along with what Marina was asking or talking to you about. You know, we do have free will. I think we have free will at any moment. And it's vibrations as well. You can feel when someone's loving, caring, wanting to take, you know, you to a higher level. And you can feel when those people are really taking advantage. A friend of ours wrote a book, They Need Us, We Don't Need Them. And if you go back to Dan Burrish, supposedly having contacted Area 51, they were seeking stuff from us because they were going through neuropathy, having been cloned too many times. So there's a lot of different aspects. Dr. Deck's experience was of the light energy. It's a totally different situation. There are, well, Linda Moulton-Howe, as you know, Alan, supposedly reports that Ronald Reagan was given a briefing of 5 different extraterrestrial types. Only one of the 5 were warlike in that sense. The others were mostly here to help.
Well, let me ask.
I want to comment on the film from Sandy Springs, Georgia. This is very profound. On the 2nd of November, 2021, you see the whole sky being, so we say, showing a flotilla of massive numbers of objects. And this is the sign that the portals are being opened, and levels of intelligence of a particular strata are showing themselves because of the greater environmental and planetary changes that are now beginning to happen. The doors to the biological kingdom are being opened.
And this is what Uri Geller was talking about, and you sent me that recent release from him.
Well, let me ask John. Go ahead, John. Yeah, go ahead.
I was at the same park the day after. It was Easter Monday, 2019, and a portal opened, and this beautiful being came through. Looked very much like the illustration that you showed. I was able to take 4 or 5 pictures, but at that time, I really wasn't able to incorporate the experience, and I actually looked away. And yes, it was. And I'll send that picture to you so you can see this. Really, one of the most beautiful experiences I've had. That night, I went back to the park, and this beautiful golden energy dropped to treetop level, and I apologized to them, saying I was sorry that I was not able to look at the being from the length of time it deserved, and it increased in intensity many times, understanding that it was difficult. It's difficult for us on this dimension to kind of grasp these higher dimensions.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for your testimony, because this happens also in sacred areas around sacred dates to commemorate events dealing with the sacred or the angelic dimension. So you have to carefully prepare oneself not to be caught up in the lower phenomena or the lower lights, but the greater lights that show an effulgence, a purpose, and an awakening that takes place within the heart, that the divine is closer to the human than one normally would suspect from the traditional engineering reports. So this is something much greater.
I want to just ask John that other part of the question. John, do you ever get a negative feeling, or you're just emanating so much love that they can't get beyond that field?
One time I had, and I want to tell the Hertogs that I feel like their spectrum of work is well beyond 2 people. And I've followed them for a long time, and I'm a great fan of their work. But I did have one time that actually appeared on a deck, and it started flashing red, green, blue, but the energy was not right. And so I went back inside, and that's the only time I've had that kind of experience. But beyond that, it's just been beautiful. If I can stop my video after the cross and crescent shaped craft came, and they asked me not to take their picture, they'd give me a gift that I could take a picture of, and they gave me this beautiful heart-shaped cloud in the same spot as where the cross and crescent shape was.
Wow.
I had Darshan with Amma, and I showed her the picture, and she said, "A heart cloud, how beautiful!" It's an archetype, and
that is beautiful. Wow. I have another question in the chat for the Hertogs about relating ETs to angels, archangels, masters. Is there a connection there? Do they communicate with each other?
Well, just like we can communicate with angelic forces or communicate with extraterrestrial forces, and of course we also say there's extracelestial, there's so many different types and layers and levels. Yes, all are interconnected, and some ETs are also able to connect with the angelic presences. So basically, we're like ETs, really. I mean, I think we have to stop seeing ourselves as earthlings and seeing ourselves, as Scott also said, as multi-dimensional beings. And we have that capacity. We did this book with Elizabeth Rauscher. Her idea of remote viewing is we're already functioning in the 8th dimension. That's how we can have precognition. And a lot of people, even Russell Targ, is working with precognition. So this is just how it works. We are cosmic beings. We growing up right now to realize we're in a vast reality, and we're all interconnected. We can communicate with the angels. We can communicate with the divine beings. We can communicate with the ETs. It's really our choice. As John was showing, the multiple levels are available.
At the same time, we want to make a clear distinction that the 75 years of cover-up has been due to the cat and mouse game of some of these experimental ETs, which are the lower hierarchical beings and not necessarily of the higher realms. And so my hope would be most people would look clearly at the new evidence that you, Ellen, and we are doing together, showing the ultra-celestials and the extra-celestials, because these are higher realms that do not need physical spaceships. They don't play games of abduction. They don't leave people with a sense of fear. They bring rather a sense of hope, and in some instances, even a prophetic insight into the material realms that are now being changed.
Let me bring Jody Sirota into the discussion and just ask you, Jody, thanks for hanging out and staying with us. how do you raise your vibration? I mean, you're already at a vibration, but what would you advise someone to do if they want to bring in this contact at a higher vibration? How do we lift it?
What I used to do, I do different things now, but the main thing is, my sense is to connect first to the earth. Feel the energy of the earth, the gravitational energy of the earth, to feel your presence so that you don't have to leave your body to go to anything. And then you also connect to the universe, so you get like both together, and you're the connector between like heaven and earth. And as you go into that, you can expand your energy, and not like a lighthouse, you don't unplug, you just emanate. But you're anchored here, and you're still connecting to the higher realms. This is like a basic thing that I used to teach for years, that a lot of people don't bother to pay attention to being earthbound to begin with.
Right.
So, they can go out to the higher realms, but they don't remember it when they come back. So this is about holding space for that energy to come through you, the God consciousness, love energy, and to feel the combination of being earth connected and also connected to everything else that exists. So in that, your whole vibration can lift to be part of everything. And even what I do at this point is I also expand my energy out and create a really big pillar of love into the earth and out into the universe. And I start with like 3 to 6 years ago. I started like 3 to 6 feet wide. If it's not even, then you need to kind of come in a little bit. But what it does is the reality is that you're not in a pillar of love. You are the pillar of love. You've just emanated. So when you're in that space of earth and the higher realms, you can hold that space. It's like if you're teaching a class or something like this, you're holding space for everything else to happen in it. If they're not holding this space, it's like all over the place, and you can get all sorts of other things coming in and out of it. Trying to ground a frequency on a radio or TV. You have to have the space to be held in a grounded way, and then everything else can come to you as you kind of raise your energy at the same time. So you start
Thank
to
you.
meet each other.
Great, great. Thanks for hanging in there. So Scott, do you want to?
Yeah, I want to bring Neil Gar back on. First of all, thank you, Jody. It's 12 after midnight where you are. Incredible. And also after midnight for Neil. Neil is on the East Coast. So thank you, East Coasters, for hanging in there with us so late. And Neil is going to bless us with another spoken word.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I'm going to just share my
Any
screen
comment,
here.
Neil? Just have any comment on John's video or anything anyone said here tonight? Do you have anything you wanted to just add? Because
Well, I stepped away for the last 20 minutes or so, but I definitely know we were sharing a lot of contact experiences and connecting with higher consciousness and, how to use discernment in order to really pull in the energies that are for the upliftment of humanity. And that's pretty much the theme of what I got. And I heard some time ago, I guess when I was first getting into this whole thing of that, there's the law of like, if you ask what the beings are, they need to basically present themselves as what they are. So just standing in that consciousness and asking if you're of the light can go a long way. So what I'm just going to do is just share some poetry that kind of just brings in some light, and we're going to do 2 pieces here. The first one is called A Black Sun, because I'm a huge fan of the supermassive black hole in the center of the galaxy. I even created a whole presentation on it. And at Conscious Life Expo, I'm going to be doing a presentation on Sunday on galactic origins, in which we will be doing a lot of scientific awareness on the central sun, the black hole in the center of the galaxy. This first one is called The Black Sun, and it is an homage to that energy. And then the second one is called The Nine Hells, which is kind of a play on Dante's Inferno, but also many other ancient scriptures. And the 9 hells are not hells in the fact of you incarnating into an hell, but it's more like these personal hells that we create in our own mind, and the different forms of experience that we go through in order for us to truly learn the lessons that, why we're here on this planet, on this planet of amnesia, remembering our lessons by going through experiences that are dark so that we can have the contrast and understand and embrace what it is to live in the light. So here we go. Here's the black sun. When the black sun radiates energy from divine immaculate conception, we hold thee as the God we wish to see, some wish to be, through enlightening their own being with internal peace. Anarchy through poetry is just one piece of the oceanic breeze. I will split the seas so we can pass freely to lands promised to me by bloodline. You see, we're all a part of the divine. Heaven on earth, constant search to find a meaning to life is only one part of reality. Intergalactic universal beliefs, interdimensional beings, enhanced communication through planetary rings. We speak to the gods and angels who gave up their wings, came to this place to bring lower frequencies of emotions such as hatred and jealousy. As long as they remain, we can never truly be set free. So they say, concentrate on love. Not of the physical kind, the type that clouds your mind, blind to things in plain sight. Love is different when it comes from above, not in the material world. Believe in her, fill my conscious mind with ether. I see the door swinging open and closed. Love was once blocked by pain and woes. When the sky splits open, heaven will show we are all one. No matter friend or foe, it has already been done. The future has already happened through the eyes of the last black sun. Through the eyes of the last black sun. The nine hells. Enter the maze, the abyss, where misery sits, the inferno that is too hot to sit, yet alone take a stand. This is the land that you will forever be in. Doesn't really exist in the realm of men and women. Souls come down to explore this world. You're renowned in the depths of this place where the gods send humans who waste their life, disgrace their time on this 3D line. Down we fall to the underworld. But my question, can we fall anymore? We were angels who dropped, tripped, and fell into earth. We are volunteers, not celestial beings who were cursed. What is the worst thing that can happen with so much chaos and lyricists rapping, expressing themselves through flows until you enter the first hell entitled limbo, where the unbaptized and pagans go? Well, I guess I'll enter this realm because I know there was once more. Until humanity decided to worship the sun, many gods with a lowercase g. The words were empty, providing technology that has been lost to time until revelations transforms the central mind. Enter the realm of lust, stuck, no balance. Patriarchy has done its damage, over-sexualizing, controlling minds, but I managed to break free. Every now and then until they catch up with me with signs, entertainment, and the media we can't trust. This fiending can we adjust from a millennia of rust, wipe off the dust as we raise our cups to the highest of levels. Have various forms of devils, personified energy combined with heavy metals will shift your brain as we enter the next two planes of existence. Gluttony and greed are hells that are persistent. I will remove all items from my wish list. Well, to this personal hell, I'm resistant. Many are coexisting with demons that are misfits as we shift our intentions and belief systems around what is our mission. On this third planet, we are stranded. One day this illusion will straight up vanish. But greed is the fourth cycle in this inferno, where humans fight for money and valuables. The I am presence knows the grand design is intellectual. Anger can consume you. It will make you enter your tomb. Your tombstone will join the other souls that could not move on past grudges that last multiple lifetimes, running too fast, foot on the gas, exploding and erupting, spreading lava all over the place. Move up onto the circle of heresy, where heretics spend eternity, dubbed to be blasphemy, ashes and a scorching fire. Those here have been wired not to believe what is commonly accepted and retire organized religion with an alternative vision of a personal hell that will diminish. This life is finished, made in his image, but dismissed by God. into the seventh and eighth, encompassed with violence and fraud. If you feel these flows, give your head a nod. Ground into the earth with a copper rod, conscious awareness will never be outlawed. I applaud the ways you move through this maze, at the end seeing the light of day, climbing up the hierarchy into the ninth hell of treachery, the last aspect of duality needed before the extrasensory gifts come online. DNA strands activate and the vibration inside, each one of us will rise as life moves from struggle to joy and fun. And we enter the sixth sun. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Neil.
Beautiful.
I love your passion. Just such beautiful passion, brother.
You know, they're like movies for me. I get pictures and images. I would love some animation to go with that.
That's coming up.
It is?
Yeah.
Great.
I have, I'll just say real quick, I have my hip hop album is being produced right now. It'll be out within a month. And then my spoken word album with classical music behind it will be out in 2 months. And I also have a cappella album coming out too. So that's my dream for this year, and to create some visuals and everything with it too.
Right. Well, let's all hold the vision for that. And a reminder again, if you have not joined Portal to Ascension yet, everybody go there right now. You can also put questions, comments, or suggestions to Neil. He's very open about that. But definitely make sure that you join. He has so much amazing material here.
Tamara Jones, who you just showed, is a phenomenal ET artist. So yes, so much there. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your display of Neil, but that was, Neil's archives are an education in spirituality and this dimension we're all a part of about making contact. Yes. So Scott, should I ask the Hurtocks one more question and then
one
we'll
question for the Hurtocks, and then we'll close with an Omashar song.
Right. Okay. JJ and Desiree, are you still there? Yes. Good. Okay. This is from the YouTube chat. Is it true that the Anunnaki are returning very soon before 2030 with their planet Nibiru?
Well, I think it's always difficult to put dates. We always heard that really time is in the consciousness of the species. But there does seem to be something that's going on in our local universe. Dr. Jack calls it a galactic house cleaning, where there's a lot of beings really influencing us right now from other levels. So I wouldn't say they're returning any more than any of the other beings are returning. We don't focus on only the Anunnaki, but basically we're going to be seeing many different types, as John just showed us, coming back into our reality and connecting with us both consciously and physically.
Right, the lower hierarchies or the experimental hierarchies are returning to the scene of their experiments, as well as the higher hierarchies that are more loving, holistic, and we would call them connected with the universal law of one, which is the higher ethics. So you're going to see confrontations in certain parts of the world. Unfortunately, we are to always exercise great compassion, love, avoidance of violence, racism, and extremism. Unfortunately, that's the old plastic hologram breaking down. And there will always be those lesser life forms in experimental worlds that will try to work, should we say, to advantages and disadvantages. We have to understand that in the Enochian tradition, the coming of the B'nai, or the sons of light, the daughters of light, represent those who have gone beyond the extremes that have placed this world into a rather unfavorable circumstance. But nonetheless, it will be a glad time after the 30s.
Right, and I just want to say in closing, what everyone said tonight is it's really all about your heart and your love. I know Scott is a love coach, so he knows how to help get people to that point. We put out the love-powered emanations. You're going to receive back those love-powered emanations from higher realms and for people in this world as well.
When we were underneath the pyramids of Egypt, we found the fossils that were part snake, part bird. So we know that genetic experiments took place. We do not want to go into work with those who preach hybridization and experimentation that will lead to cruelty. So again, the purpose here is to use great wisdom, great love, great light to discern and take the higher path.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for the love you bring to the planet and to the expo next weekend and to all the places that you visit and your worldwide population. So I appreciate that personally, and I think we all appreciate it here.
Yeah, you too. And also, I want to acknowledge, as a love coach, you're a couple. And it's beautiful how balanced you are. I always appreciate that you both respect each other. You know, kind of share the stage really well. And it's no small thing. So I want to acknowledge that part of it too. I always go, oh, what a great couple.
And for 40 something years as well. So,
well, let's next show, Secrets to a 40-Year Marriage While Doing Great Work in the World with JJ and Desiree Hertak.
You know, I think that's, I think that's part of the relationship, because the relationship is not about the relationship. The relationship is about doing something together in the world.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, thank Scott. This has been another beautiful show with such deep wisdom and feeling and love. So thank you.
And tomorrow is when we all going to come together. Lots of interaction, great presenters. So join us tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern. And I'm sure all of you.
I just want to say Barbara Lamb, Geraldine Orozco, Suzanne Ross. We're going to have another roll-in from Elizabeth April and Marina. And that will be, I think, could be more of a discussion. We'll invite people into the Zoom room. Maybe if you want, Scott, people sharing some experiences. I just got an email from a family in Australia, 6 kids, 2 adults, and they're having experiences all the time. They showed me pictures. So I'm going to invite them to share.
Fabulous.
Maybe some other people and some of the people here. Why not? Join us.
Definitely come and join us tomorrow morning.
I just want to say, well, sorry, one more thing, that the importance of shows like this is because we are coming to a turning point in human history, and we need to be made aware, and we need to share this knowledge that we're not alone in the universe. We're part of a greater cosmos, and human consciousness can and will expand into the unknown and bring in a new reality. It's awakened world right here.
New reality right here. All right. Hey, let's close out with some beautiful music. And Omashar, thank you for waiting and being with us. And
well, luckily I haven't been waiting. It's such an honor. What an amazing weekend we're having so far. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
And Alan, I'm right with you there with Neil with his work. I just felt all these visuals coming up. What a beautiful creative artist he is. So look forward to his. So this one is a short song called The Wonderful and the New. It's off my upcoming album called The Lightness of Being. And basically it's a message of hope from divine consciousness to us humans. And here's maybe the, let's try that one. The lyrics in the chat box if you want to sing along. And it's a gentle song. It's an unplugged version of something which I'll ham up for the album, but this is just the piano. So deep breath. You'll never walk this way again. Lay down all your guards. Your loving hearts will lead the way. The door is open. The wonderful and the new is waiting patiently. Take the step and you will see all you've been dreaming. Now is the time you've been waiting for so long. I've been holding you
knowing I'd be with you once again. You'll never be alone again. Please take my hand in yours. I love you just the way you are. You're my creation. The wonderful and the new is waiting patiently. Take the step and you will see all you've been dreaming. Now is the time you've been waiting for so long. I've been holding you through all ages, knowing I'd be with you once again.
Thank you, beloved brother. That's a beautiful, beautiful way to end our show. And I always like to go to the gallery view of our friends that are still with us. So thank you, John and Jody and Wild Monk Abbott, Jerry Anderson, the Hertogs, Omoshar, Alan and Son, Dr. and Mrs. Future, Deborah Giusti, Alan Steinfeld, and most of all of you watching, including those of you watching on Facebook, those of you watching on YouTube, and those of you watching our replay. And my gosh, if you are watching the replay and you've gotten all the way to the end, you are Global Peace Tribe Plus. Thanks, everybody. It's been a beautiful night. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. Take care. And all the chat. I want to thank everybody for writing in the chat. Good night.